defense they're going to do when they're at Clemson. So we understand that, but it's a big opportunity for the players, and I think they're excited. Confidence and let them know that I believe in them. Block out the noise, what everybody's saying, and come to the building every day, prepared to win at practice, and knowing that you're capable of getting the job done, and don't doubt yourself. And that's what I'm feeding them. I'm feeding them confidence.
Good morning. It is a Wednesday. Good morning, Damon.
What up? How was your night?
It was
that's kind of how I always like to start, man. Like, how was your night?
You know what my night was last night outside of Nebraska Stanford volleyball?
Watching cut-ups of the Chargers.
Not yet, but boy, Boza and Mack against my offensive line, that's going to be a test.
Hey, but you know what? You probably haven't looked because I know you don't get at it like that, but what's the total?
I haven't looked at the total
high
yet.
40s?
It might be a little bit higher than that. I just know that it's 3.5. And, you factor in they're playing at Arrowhead. But you know what I did yesterday? So
what did you do?
Your rough estimate in this town that has some really good steakhouses. How many steakhouses in Omaha, Nebraska have you hit, you think, in your lifetime? Definitely double figures.
Like Nebraska steakhouse.
Okay, let's go Omaha, because I crossed one off my list that I've never been to last night.
I don't know. It's double digits.
So but all the like OGs you've hit in your lifetime.
Yeah, like Garot's, Jericho's, Mahogany, Johnny's Italian Steakhouse, Firebirds,
Drover.
Fleming's.
Brother Sebastian's?
For sure. I just went there 2 years ago. Like during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. It was like 4 people in there. Dead dog serious. So there's a couple like the Monarch, the Committee. There's a few of the newer ones that I haven't.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this. I'm not running to buy a steak out locally.
Fair.
It's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
But I've gotten okay at making them. So
you would say,
and we bought a cow, right? So
you would say you're kind of critical when you go out for a steak, then, because that's
your
forte.
Okay. Yeah.
So yesterday, for the first time since I've lived here in Omaha, about 10 years, I went to Johnny's.
Old school?
Yeah.
Like like L Street?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good on you.
I had never been there. I've always driven by and I've always talked about it. And I was like, you know what? Last night, a steak sounded good. So went to Johnny's, and shout out to May, who was our waitress, who took care of our party. I'm like, okay.
Wait, party?
Yeah.
It wasn't just you?
No.
Where's my invite?
I wasn't going to go solo to a steak.
Where was my invite?
You were busy. You were coaching.
Hey, how about me? This is just crazy, right? Like, I totally need a vacation, but I did a Zoom with Big Red Wrap Up while coaching Micah's Little League team. Because I didn't have the heart.
Where were you? That cell service was that good?
Hey, and I asked Gavin, who's fantastic, who is in like the top 5 nicest people of the world, right? It's like Gavin, Coach Frank, there's a couple of other people in there. But I said, hey, do you want me to Zoom? Can we have the ambiance of like whistles in the background, or do you want me to like go in my car? G-Man was like, preferably the car. And I was like, dang, it's like a 4-minute walk from the practice facility. I can barely walk.
Yeah.
Because your boy has been playing scout team quarterback because
you're running the option.
Oh, I mean, so quick and so fast. Not me, but the multiple plays we're getting, like midline and veer and all this stuff. And I do it every time for every school, because when we play Miller North, the first 2 days I was cool.
Yeah.
I almost fell out of bed this morning. Like my ankles hurt. It's different than like going to hit a bag or having guys hit you or whatever, taping your hands. But I'm like, You know what? Let's just chill today. But then Twitter happened, so it's like, guess we're not chilling today. And you know what? Like, I didn't catch up on it. And somebody was like, and he's our guy, like, oh, gonna be, pretty spirited show. And I was like, why? What'd I miss? Then I went back and caught up.
Mm-hmm.
So I much prefer to be you with a party. How many were in the party? I'm gonna guess 6.
Less.
4?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So quaint.
Yeah.
What's your preferred cut?
Well, so
A fillet?
no, I went the what did I go
If
with?
you didn't go with a ribeye, you're fired.
I went strip steak because
New York strip. I like strips
because I had a ribeye recently.
I like strips.
Mm-hmm.
They're so my order would be ribeye, and it's probably a tie between a fillet and the strip, and probably a T-bone somewhere way down the line is a porterhouse, and then that excludes the tomahawk, which is a different cut,
Yes.
just a bigger cut of my favorite kind of cut. So I'm team ribeye, preferably bone in. But you went with the strip, just enough marble to entertain you and not have
Yes.
people talk about you
Yeah.
because you're getting an 8-ounce fillet. Like
I got a full.
maybe your
was 12.
partner did.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
really?
I
Nice.
I got 12, so there was not.
That's not enough for me.
Yeah.
It's got to be. If it's
But there's
bone
so-
in, it's 16. If it's not bone in, it's 14 minimum, man. 12, it's like I'm hungry.
But so much food comes with it. You got the potato, you got the
I'm not eating
salad,
that.
you got
I
the
will eat
bread.
that. I'm not eating that.
I'm drinking Manhattans.
Are you? Welcome to the big time. Not doing that bougie IPA beer or
Long day yesterday.
dude, who you telling? Hey, so
I feel like I should be taking notes from you guys.
Jimmy,
You're supposed to
listen.
be
So
new
I'm
here.
I'm a total foodie, and I do this sometimes. You haven't been around long enough, but there are times where I'm I'm in an emotional stretch. Like on the way to work, I'll just drive and I listen to music. I'm not going anywhere. Remember, like 5-6 years ago when I got lost in the neighborhood?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've lived here 3/4 of my life, and I was in the fancy part of the little midtown over here. And there was a little construction. Your boy couldn't get out, man. I was like, this is embarrassing. I've lived here for 30 years and I'm stuck in Dundee. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So the steak, man. Did you
was,
go with an app?
No.
Yeah.
Went straight.
That's a fantastic family. I
got the whole. When we left, there were 2 older ladies that were in the parking lot that they had been inside of Johnny's before we were, and they told me the whole story.
Yeah.
They told me about how one time a cow got loose from the stockyard and ran into the back.
Obviously, my dad's favorite was Caniglia's.
Mhm.
I mean, that was
That's
the family
OG.
ties and wrestling and so that used to be like that was a treat for us, and I don't understand the magnitude of it until you get older and you appreciate. I obviously love Cassio's, an amazing family.
Mm-hmm.
I see him quite a bit when he's going to watch his grandson hoop, and sharp as ever. I like the steakhouse thing in this state is a real thing.
Especially in this town where you have steakhouses that have survived for years. Like Johnny's is celebrating its 100th anniversary.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And it's not
sometimes
it's not bougie inside. You can tell, like we're sitting in the chairs and they're kind of ripped apart, but it's like Omaha. It's like a steakhouse. It looks and feels like a old school steakhouse.
Yeah.
Where you what you pay for, you're getting.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I checked that off my list last night.
Got a boy.
So,
one at a time.
Boy, I almost driving down L through, by Omaha South High School.
Yeah.
There was a taco truck there.
Oh yeah, I know right where it is. Yeah, yeah.
I thought about, man, I know you guys want steak.
Hey, he's
what
the
if,
real.
What
they're
if
the
we stop there and have tacos?
They're the real deal. So every Sunday, like when I'm going to Channel 7, I go the same way every time. I get off on Martha, I head south, I bang that left on it's the same street as Caniglia's, so it's like 8th Street, 10th Street.
Yes.
And I'm always tempted because you're going to see about 4 or 5 food trucks, but the one catty corner from or diagonal from South, that one is supposed to be the real deal. Like
That doesn't look like it ever moves.
Usually during the middle of the day, like you'll catch a line. Like I used to go visit South and stuff sometimes, and there's a line up there.
But that was my night last night, and then of course Nebraska Stanford volleyball.
Now that I couldn't believe.
Yeah.
They were due.
There was some great, there was some bad, there was some ugly.
They were
both
due.
Sides.
They were definitely due.
We'll get into that. But as we join you on a Wednesday morning, 6:21, you've heard Damon. I'm Gary. Jimmy here as well. Coming up a little bit later, we'll get the inside of OU, which has given up 16 points in the first 2 weeks. Brent Venables said all the right things yesterday. You know, when you hear somebody, and we're going to dive deeper into the Oklahoma-Nebraska rivalry because I'm somebody that's missed out on it. When somebody talks about your program, and especially everything that's gone on for the last couple of days around here, you do have to, and we're doing it every single day.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about it. We feel it. You put the emotion into it. It does make you kind of step back and appreciate the uniqueness of what Nebraska football is. When you hear a guy like Venables talk about it, or other people from the outside, he spoke glowingly about the experience of Memorial Stadium and playing Oklahoma and what Nebraska and Oklahoma meant to him. And here's a guy who's a K-Stater that was at OU at the tail end of the Big 12 days. I think when somebody says that and they talk about the fans, you do go, yeah, you know what? With everything that's gone on in the last 2 decades plus, that thing is still pretty special.
Mm-hmm.
That goes on in Lincoln 7, 8 times a year. So thank you to Venables.
He's pressed all the right buttons too. You can tell when you hear him talk.
You know what? So he taught, and you're right. When he was talking yesterday, and you heard in our open, Mickey, what comes out, regardless of if you're looking at them on a screen, the pride and the passion of being at a place that they want to be. And I looked and I listened yesterday to Mickey, and you know that. I mean, you know him better than anybody else. Yesterday was who Mickey Joseph is.
Yeah.
Okay. He's a connector. He's got familiarity with what it takes to be at Nebraska, but the guy is a connector. He's got a great personality. But I thought as I listened to him, and we talked about this on Monday, the culture of the job of the Nebraska football coach, regardless of who's in the power chair, what it takes to be successful, just to be the head coach before you walk out of your office and you start coaching young men, is you got to be a grinder. That's been pretty well hit home this week. You got to check the ego at the door.
I feel like they didn't steal my word, but they stole my adjective that I've always used for this job.
Yes.
You know, it's not a new word. It's just the new one that's associated with this job. And I did a show with some folks on in Oklahoma, and they had listened to part of the show on Monday. And they said, you know, it was interesting. It caught my eye. I noted it and I wanted to talk about it. He said, because you and your co-host were having this conversation about basically the duality of what the job entails versus how we treat it as a fan base. The fan base treats it as this folklore, this rock star, you're the real deal. And that is a beautiful thing. Don't get it twisted. Like that's one of the things that makes this place special. It's the reverence that folks have for the head position at this university because of what it's meant. And the passion is one of those things that I think really drives the school bus, right? But the job itself is so blue collar compared to the pop and circumstance that we give it as a fan base. And so I didn't know any better way to put it than being a grunt, a workaholic has to be in your DNA. Because at some point it will be tested, if not compromised, if you're not rooted in the core of what the job takes, which is why I love Mickey. I told him this morning, I said, hey man, I love you because, And I'm proud of him, which is weird because he's older than me, but that's
Mhm.
okay, right? Like, whatever. Because Mickey he's never been the favorite. He's never been the first pick. For as prolific as he was in high school,
And he was
his
a
own
prep
state
All-American.
school wanted him to go there and be a DB. He was too little for this. He was too little for that. Never had a ton. He worked, and there were no, as you guys like to say, he just didn't take any half measures. So just by his very personality, he's an underdog.
Mhm.
Take a look at his
how about-
coaching.
how
Take
about-
a look at his coaching stops.
Underdog. Okay, so
He's an underdog.
so that's what I'm thinking as
Every even when he was at Nebraska, he went from this guy's gonna be is great to he has too small of hands to who's next. Like, don't get it twisted. The revisionist history, the fans weren't enamored with Mickey when he was playing.
No, the small hands was something
They
that
weren't
lingered forever. Yeah,
enamored, and so him to take that and just be motivated. I told the story. I couldn't do it justice on Twitter because I really wasn't in the mood emotionally, but he had one of my twins, the Keeley twins. They used to live with me. Their mom was going through cancer. They stayed at my house when I was at Northwest. And he had just been asked to leave South Dakota State. Dan Jackson had given him, every opportunity to flourish, and it just wasn't going to work, right? They weren't ready for the immediacy of the rigor of college. And he's kind of working out, and he's going to junior college, and lo and behold, Mickey's at UAB. He said, "Hey man, you got to tell me about this Keeley. This." I said, "Hey, listen, super gifted athlete. He's long. He's got range. He's this. He's that." I said, "But you're gonna have to love on him, right? But I think he's ready." A couple hours later, I called DJ and I said, "Hey, listen, you got to walk me through exactly what happened before we push this forward." DJ, being the lover that he is, he's like, "Look, man, this, and this. Just maybe a fresh start or help needs this." I said, "Okay." So I called Mickey back, and he says, "Is it worth a shot?" He said, "Every kid needs a chance. Every kid needs a chance. Every kid needs a chance." And this isn't revisionist history. Mickey and I talk about this all the time. And first time he wanted to get him on a flight to go to UAB, he missed his flight. Just didn't show up. Had a little bit of stage fright. Couldn't get there. It was an early flight. Called back. I'm in the middle of my divorce. And he said, "Hey, man, you can give this one more try." Called, Mickey was like, "Hey, man, where's your guy at? You can't, I said, "Hey, we'll get him there." He said, "You sure? You sure, DB?" I said, "I'm sure." Right? Like, so then I called Twin back and I was like, "Hey, you ready?" "Yeah." My man waited on me at the airport just to drop him off. He waited. He's at UAB. He's taking a shot. He didn't have to give it part two. 5 years later, he signs a free agent contract with the Minnesota Vikings. Right? Like, those are the kinds of things that, for a guy that understands what comes with a job and a title, I took him at face value when he said, "You know what?" And I admired the question, the importance of being the first African-American head coach at the university. He said, "You know what? I've never thought about it. Shoot, he's been black his whole life."
Yeah.
You know what I
It's a
mean?
great
Like,
response.
it didn't just drop. But that's who he is, though. You've heard man, like, that's who he is. And so I don't know if it's gonna work or not. I don't know I'm not we've already proven time and time again that we're not capable of handling information that comes via digital or print or through a microphone, because we want to hold people that say the words responsible for our actions, which you people got to get better, but you don't want to own that. That's for a different discussion. So I'm not saying it's going to, be rainbows and butterflies, but I will tell you this. the immediacy of him taking that job is going to do two things right away. It's going to give clarity of message. There will be no minced words on what's expected, how it's expected, what time it's expected. Clarity of message will be there. The other thing is the infectious energy that he's going to bring as a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just energy. A lot of folks have energy. They're all over the place, man. Busy being busy doesn't make it productive, right? Doesn't make it. Being able to harness energy is the key to having energy. And for Mickey, he's a fighter. And he's just going to fight. Now, we'll see how many blows that they can take and what the game plan is, but there'll be no taking a back seat to the moment with that guy because he doesn't know any different. It's not manufactured. It's not fake. Like, this dude fights. Yeah, I hadn't always had the greatest of jobs, man.
No, and that's why I think
and he fights.
That's why I think so. He's got 9 opportunities, and anybody that puts out a list, Mickey might not be your lead candidate, but he's got to be up near the top of your list because he's got the golden opportunity to grow into the job. And whatever happens, it's not like there's new guys walking in the door that are wearing uniforms. So it's going to take a tweak here or there. But as I listened to him even more yesterday, and I think about this job and the phrase that is being used, well, the culture of the job, which probably we don't pay enough attention to at a place like Nebraska, is what does it take? Does a person that's in the power chair have the tools in the toolbox to handle what goes into just being the football coach before you get to do what you were hired for? And I know Mickey, and listening to Mickey, and all you have to do is research your background, like you were alluding to, from Langston, Oklahoma to LSU to now being at Nebraska, is he's going to teach, Trev already knows this, but he's going to teach other people what that job entails. You got to be a grinder. You got to swallow your ego, and you got to show up ready to work every single day. If you can accomplish those 3 things and then factor in attention to detail, consistency with the messaging, and everybody knows where you're going and how you're going to get there and why you're doing this instead of questioning it.
Clarity of message.
You're going, okay, hey, we're going to do this different. Well, what do you mean, coach? Trust me. We're going to do this different. And when you do this, it's going to pay off.
Yeah.
I think what Mickey is going to teach us over the next 2 months is that's what that job is. Yeah. It may not be Mickey in that job, but that's what that job entails for the next person that's the head coach at Nebraska, whether it be Mickey Joseph or Jim Leonard, Chris Kleiman, or down the road of everybody that's being mentioned.
And at some point we'll learn, like, hey, don't always take the bait. And I know I feel bad for, it's not even the coaches, because ultimately at some point they're going to get paid. I just don't understand. I kind of feel bad for, and I'm part of it, right? The media. So I don't want to separate. I just know that I wouldn't ask the question.
Of all these coaches?
I know 100% factual. I would not ask the question. So folks that are in the media and ask the questions, when they say, well, you have to ask, don't you? No, actually you don't. Because what's the desired outcome? I always ask that. What's the desired outcome? If the desired outcome is to get them to say, to give you some sort of inkling on whether they're interested in the job or not, the question is futile. So don't ask it. Mm-hmm. Because what do you expect coaches to say?
Everything that a Kleiman and a Leipold said yesterday. But did we expect Matt Campbell to say what he said?
No.
Which I thought was kind of, he didn't just brush it off and say, I'm happy here, I got a good AD. He went kind of a step further.
Yeah. But and those guys, I guess if the desired outcome is to have that happen where we take it and we analyze it, mission accomplished. Because that's ultimately going to happen, right? But we're gonna break down the answers.
Yeah.
But I do think that's exactly who Matt Campbell is, though.
Yeah, he's talking about what we're doing, the impact it has on 18 to 22-year-olds. That's where he went with the question. And he's the only one that, everybody's been asked, and they say all the right things. he took it and he said the right thing. Hey, I'm football coach at Iowa State. We're getting ready for Ohio this weekend. And then he went the step further about kind of his industry. And he put the onus on coaches. Like, this isn't all on, athletic directors or fans. This is on us coaches and the impact that it has on 18 to 22-year-olds. I think that wasn't an inkling into, hey, how he looks at a place like Nebraska. I think it was an inkling into who Matt Campbell is, that he's very aware of the world and the people that he's in front of every day that are 18 to 22-year-old young men. All right, coming up a little bit later, Joey Helmer will join us. He is the OU insider from 24/7. Scott Chanley stops by. We're midweek ahead of week 2 of the NFL season. Nathaniel Hackett is back on my good list. He should be yours for the Broncos. Young coach, first year, first game, admitted the morning after, should have gone for it. That's okay. Some coaches will never admit they're wrong. He did right away after his first game. Okay, start over. Brandon Vogel stops by at 9:45. The lineup brought to you by the rooferys at John Higgins Weather Guard. You heard Mickey Joseph speak yesterday, and now we're a day closer to Nebraska and Oklahoma, which we'll get deeper into the Sooners as we move along till 10 today. You can chime into the conversation, 951-1620. You can always email us into the Equitable Bank inbox, where Doug and the great crew at their 2 fine locations take banking personally. Gary or Damon at 1620thezone.com, or on the JTech Construction Zone Twitter feed at Gary Sharp 1620 at Damon Betting. We're back more Sharp and Betting in the morning with Jimmy on 1620 The Zone.
Irrational confidence.
My rendition of Billy Joel's Piano Man brought down an entire section in the lower level of the MGM Grand in Las Vegas in 2019. I mean, had everybody just eaten out of the palm of my hand. And that was one of my greatest performances ever.
Irrational confidence. The Connor Happer Show. Weekdays from 10 to 2 on 1620 The Zone. Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Heating up a bit more Wednesday. Expect mostly sunny skies in the morning with a few more clouds in the afternoon. Breezy south wind gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour with highs around 91. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect some pretty significant slowdown near 108th and L. And then on Center, be prepared for some minor delays from 192nd to 183rd. And along Highway 370, be prepared for some major delays near 150th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More.
Hi, I'm Mark Evans, owner of Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and More. Right now, we'll open your drain line for only $93 or it's free. Call for details or request service at justcallburton.com.
Acura of Omaha has more than 100 quality pre-owned vehicles with most priced thousands below market value. Get our best price in just minutes at AcuraofOmaha.com. That's AcuraofOmaha.com.
Bill Jones.
And Olivia.
Here again for Jones Bros Cupcakes and Cafe. Jones Bros is famous here at Omaha for catering delicious breakfasts and lunches for business meetings.
If I own a business, I cater Jones Bros every day.
Sounds good to me, Olivia.
For breakfast, I cater French toast with warm syrup and croissant donuts. That'd be a good day at work.
Go with it, Olivia. Check out our website at jonesbroscupcakes.com for catering.
Jones Bros Cupcakes in Exarban Village.
Hi guys, it's Andrew. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Did you know that a major medical breakthrough has just arrived? Today, Wednesday, September 14th, we're running a one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Brookside Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. It's backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge. If you're ready to regain that spark in the bedroom, today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also a gift that can produce powerful results in the bedroom in minutes. That's worth the trip alone, guys, trust me. And today only, we're offering 6 tune-up treatments to our patients free, worth $1,000. Call today, and it's all no charge. 402-671-7777. That's 402-671-7777. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Brookside Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 402-671-7777.
This is Darcy with Dingman's Collision Center. We have run our business for years by helping the vehicle owner retain the value of their vehicle by working for them with warranted, safe, high-standard repairs. For this reason, Omaha vehicle owners have chosen Dingman's to repair their vehicles. Your loyalty has been shown through repeat business and amazing referrals. You've also voted us first place Best of Omaha for the past 17 years. We want to say thank you for choosing the Dingman family and our incredible technicians to repair your vehicles. At Dingman's, we'd rather be the best than apologize for anything less.
Cubby's supports the PACE program with Raise Some Dough. For every large pizza sold at Cubby's in the Old Market, Cubby's gives $1 to the Police Athletic League, serving at-risk and disadvantaged inner-city children with athletic and educational programs. PACE has over 5,800 program participants. The league reaches kids that would not normally be able to participate in athletics like soccer and baseball due to financial situations and family dynamics. PACE wants to give every kid the opportunity at athletics and a healthy and safe environment. If you'd like to support PACE too, go to paceomaha.org.
Blood Rush! This Halloween season, Blood Rush returns bigger and better than ever before. Over 40 minutes of heart-pumping fear. Blood Rush! Journey through the darkest part of the forest where no one can hear you scream. Rated the #1 haunt in Nebraska by Cosmopolitan and Ranker. Blood Rush! Discount tickets on sale now at skinomaha.com.
Here's an opportunity for business-to-business salespeople. NRG Media is looking for someone who gets excited about helping local businesses grow. Are you an idea person who can create and execute a plan? We should talk. At NRG Media, we create local marketing campaigns designed to meet a key challenge. On air, online, on-site, audio, video. It's all part of what you could do. A sales career with NRG lets you make a real difference. Business-to-business salespeople? Apply online at nrgmedia.com. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
You can join us every week for the Sharp and Betting podcast. It's Sharp and Betting. We got a podcast driven by our good friends at Woodhouse Auto Family.
Yeah, the cool thing about it is we'll get more in depth on a lot of your favorite topics, have a guest or two, and just might drop some nuggets of information that you've never heard before.
Wherever you get your podcasts, just look for Sharp and Betting. We got a podcast driven by Woodhouse Auto Family each Friday. You can find it on the Sharp and Betting show page on 1620thezone.com. At Sharp and Betting, we got a podcast.
Sharp and Betting in the morning on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and the 1620 The Zone app.
I want to thank the fans for continuing to support us and to ride with us and to stay with us through thick and thin. They've done that. I want you to know this is a great opportunity for me and my family. We understand that. We're here to represent the University of Nebraska to the fullest.
I was yesterday in Lincoln. Mickey Joseph, interim head coach, talking for the first time in front of the media. Nebraska and Oklahoma, 11:07 on a Saturday morning. Nebraska about 11.5-point underdog. It started at 3.5, 5, then it jumped to 14. It's been back down to 11.5 this morning on FanDuel as Nebraska takes on number 6 Oklahoma. They've lost 18 straight to top 25 teams. But the more people get to know Mickey and they get his story, like Jerry went and searched him on the internet, and there's the story about when Hurricane Katrina hit his hometown and what he did. You know, like it's you follow the whole journey from him playing here at quarterback, where he went from being the darling to getting hurt 32 years ago against Oklahoma to essentially being replaced. And he had too small hands, so he fumbled all the time. Then he comes up here. He's at Omaha North, goes to Wayne State. He works his way. He grinds. He works, all the way up through to, coaching at LSU and then back at his alma mater.
Yeah.
He's a guy that, regardless of what happens in the next 9 games, and there's no quick fixes. The issues that were there on Saturday night, there's a couple of things that can be tweaked, but it's still the same football team. We talk about universally, can we all agree on something? I think that people are rooting for Mickey. For Mickey and the brand. Not, and it's not, hey, I'm rooting for Mickey because I want him to get the job. Mm-hmm. You're rooting for because that's a good guy that gets it.
Yeah. And it's one of those deals too, like when I talk about it being in his DNA. It's in his DNA. And now his challenge is, I always talked about, and let me be consistent, right? Just being real. His challenge is this is clearly the best job that he's ever had. And it's always dangerous when you hire a coach at the University of Nebraska that this is the best job that they've had. If your DNA blueprint isn't one to offset that. Because it's easy to become captivated by all the things that you've never had that you now have. Right? So your blueprint for your DNA has to be one in which it's secondary, not necessary, that you have a lot of things afforded to you that you maybe have never had before.
That's a great point, because I read an article on Jimbo Fisher yesterday, and they're getting killed down there.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you something. So this article, and this was in the Dallas Morning News, and there's people that are questioning Jimbo because
Jimbo questioned himself because he fell on the sword, right?
Yeah. So, but kind of what we've been talking about now into the third day of this is the author of the article and diagnosing things that have ailed Texas A&M since Jimbo's been there. Now, when Jimbo Fisher has a really good quarterback, like we all are, you're really good. When you don't have that game-changing quarterback, what's your next move? That can offset that.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't had that at Texas A&M. I mean, Kellen Mond was pretty good. He hasn't had, and Jimbo had Jameis Winston and won a national championship at Florida State. But when he doesn't have a quarterback, what's his next step? But this author wrote about Texas A&M has become one of those jobs because of the money and everything that has been poured into that program, that it's easy to get comfortable in that job.
I'm telling you, man.
And I know you brought that up the other day, and I thought about that while I was reading this, is there's a lot of advantages to being the head coach at Nebraska.
Yeah.
But it can get comfortable because of the things that are at your disposal. If you have never had a grind where that's just, you're a grinder no matter what. You're in a nice car or a beat up car, you're a grinder, it doesn't matter. If you've never had to do that, and then you're handed a place like A&M or Nebraska where it can get comfortable, I see the challenges.
Yeah.
I see why you start to maybe take for granted some things, and you lose what got you there, and that is I grinded, I checked my ego, and I showed up to work every day.
Yeah. So I think the coach that came the closest to having the mindset, but he was derailed by one thing. I don't know if you remember this. I do. Because this was like 2014. And this is when I really felt like I had a pretty good chance to get to know Bo and kind of how he thinks. They said, when you mix, if like you're in the lab, man, and you're a chemistry guy, it's Flubber, right? So you're Robin Williams. And Bo was hyper paranoid, but he was hypersensitive too. So the paranoid thing, because he's a worker and a grinder and he didn't want to rest, that was like 75% of what you needed. But when you're hypersensitive, you can sometimes let the environment be your stimulus. So he showed you a lot of what it takes to win here, but he just couldn't overcome the fact that he paid attention to too much of the minutia. He had a lot of the other key ingredients.
Yep.
He really did. He had a lot of the other key ingredients, but he didn't. You need the next phase is to kind of have that Teflon where you can close your ears like it's 4th and 2 and not jump off sides. Turn your ears off. And, there's obviously other things, right? He had the poorest administration of the bunch, and I'm not going to get into that. But 75% of what Bo's DNA is what you need to function in this job. You have got to be process oriented. We used to make fun of Coach Pelini talking about the process. Oh, what is that? And blah, 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 and all the process and this and that. And the other. It is a process.
Yeah,
because
8 years later, the ADTA is hammering that home.
Because what did you find out about Jimbo Fisher when you did some digging? Jimbo Fisher is not process oriented enough to overcome average quarterback play.
Yep.
He's a Jameis Winston away from being just okay.
Absolutely.
Now, right?
Absolutely.
I'm not a hot take. I'm just giving you the perspective of if you make it about a singular thing, it is very hard to function when you don't get that singular thing. So it has to be about the process because that's really all you have to fall back on. Right? It's like, do you, if you're a guy that pits himself as a you against the world guy, like what if the world kind of conforms? What if the world kind of what if the world kind of rallies around you?
Yeah, you don't have a plan B.
Then what? Like what if everybody in unison in 2022 said, "Hey, Tom Brady, we made a mistake. 6th round draft pick, that was the worst thing ever. We apologize. As the free world, we were wrong." What would motivate TB? The process that he takes in order to be the best. You took the negative edge that was kind of driving him early, and you disarm that, and you peel it back. Like he is about the process. It's the rigor. It's the day-to-day. It's the very same thing that could cost him his marriage, right? And I don't say that lightly. I'm saying,
That's well known now.
Yeah, Giselle lets you know. Listen, I've done my part.
I'd like to have you more present.
You need to do yours.
Well, that hits you when you're a husband.
Yeah, but you're taking away his process. That's all he's known. And he can love this over here and really want it to be a part of it. But when you strip away all that other stuff and you look at who he is as a person, she has to know that she married a quarterback. It's who he is. It's not, and it's a weird U-turn or, veer, because that's not where I was going with Brady and Giselle and their relationship. I'm just talking about being process oriented. Why do you think, and this is a real question, why do you think Trev appears to be unflappable, even though all these other things around him are not crumbling, but very hard to get his arms around? It's because he has process.
Yeah. And he believes in himself.
It's, I mean, if you peel back the curtain and you look at, you brought it up yesterday with the contracts and cleaning up some of the numbers and stuff like that. He did his due diligence in a lot of other areas, didn't he?
Yep.
I mean, he did.
I use the word to people. He vetted.
He
Nebraska.
did his recon. I mean, Sam said it yesterday, and he was like, "Whoa, man!" Like when he got on the job, and he knew this. Yeah, what he did know was some of the things that obviously it's not really looking at the books and combing through the contracts, but as much vetting as he could do, because he wasn't privy to that yet, because he didn't have the job. But why didn't he get off kilter? Because there's a way that he was going to go about doing information, collecting data, asking the whys, figuring it out how it fits in line with what the overall vision is, and who can he bring on board to help him with said problem. That's pretty much how he does business. And he's learned so much from that initial time of being at Omaha, where it was, kind of more about him.
Where you had to be a grinder.
Which, he admitted, which is 98% of life. When he takes himself inventory and you're like, you know what? I would have done this different. The role that I played in this, I probably would have handled this different. I can admit that out loud. I'm willing to grow and move on from it. I can acknowledge that it happened without being held captive by it. Dude, like, that's what we're talking about. I don't care if you're a coach. I don't care if you're a mom. I don't care if you're a dad. Like, that's really what it's about. Because all the other stuff is just stuff. And it's not foolproof, and it doesn't mean you don't have tough days. It just means you'll have more consistency than the people that you're competing against. And in this day and age, I've said this before, being great is just being good all the time. And being good all the time comes from consistency. And consistency comes from having a plan. Stick to the plan.
Consistency and details.
The details thing is huge.
So if you go back and you go from the start of the football season all the way back to January 1, when he talks about football, he talks about those two key words, consistency and details.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you take care of those in the game of football, there's going to be other things that will fall in line. I mean, you're still going to have some deficiencies that you've created on your own, but if you're consistent and detail-oriented, that's why this is all tying back into Mickey's message yesterday. I think Mickey stood behind a microphone and he explained to you what he has observed about Nebraska football in the good and the bad. Not just all bad. When I know Nebraska football is good, this is what we do. I know what Nebraska football bad, that's what we're not doing. And I'm here to make sure we do more good and we move the program forward. And every day is a new day that you move forward. You don't look in the past. You keep moving forward because you'd be doing a disservice. I think he left a message yesterday where if I'm a player, I don't have one foot out the door. I'm not thinking, hey, you know what? I'm going to hang out for 9 more games. I'm going to try and sludge through it. I'm going to get some tape and I'm going to get out of here. He gives me the impression, if I'm a player, or even a staff member, and their world could be turned upside down in the next 2+ months, is I don't already have a foot out the door and I'm on my phone with my agent trying to find me that next gig when there's no gigs open because college football just started.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. Around Mickey, and this is like when he's kind of recruiting you or he's just being your friend or big brother loving on you or whatever. If you have one foot out, you ultimately will have 2, because he can sense that. He's I think one of his greatest gifts is his gift of discernment. He's very good at reading.
It's an interesting word.
He's very good at reading people. And I think a lot of the great ones can do it. I used to joke with Coach Frank all the time. I'm like, his ability to read people was his greatest asset. And we had a talk one day, and it's kind of a heart to heart, and he's just kind of sitting me down, and he's pouring into me a little bit about like coaching and the transition and where I had been, and there were some things that I was asking of him. And he said, you know what? And this is a guy that's very successful, right? I mean, how many state championships has he played in since 2012, right? I think 3 or 4, right?
In the last 3.
Highly, highly successful. And so I said, well, how come you don't do it like this? Or, how come this isn't like this? I'm just asking questions. And he's well on his way to a successful career. And he said something to me that I'll never forget. He said, Damon, he and it's just me and him. We're in the back coach's room. And he said, Damon, I've tried it that way. And I didn't like who I was. That didn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't work. So I'm going to trust X, Y, and Z, right? And I'm going to do it this way because I've been down that road before. And he said, hey, I know what you're saying. I'm just telling you that I tried that once and it didn't work for me. And I just remember ever since that day, it's almost like, you know, I mean, it's like you fell in love. It's like, here's this guy that we've, you know, coached against and game planned against and all this other stuff. And he was better in person than he was in folklore, because even as a guy that was successful, I tried that before. It didn't work for me. So this is how I'm going to do it now. Just imagine if you had that kind of skill set that was portable at this job. It's the number one ingredient if you're going to call yourself a lifelong learner. These people that call themselves, oh man, I'm a lifelong learner. Well, is that right? How willing are you to change? How willing are you to adjust that? I know this works. It's worked before. It's going to work now. Which is the number one reason that I say the drawback to higher level thinkers is they assume they know the why because they've had success with it. Oh, I know this works. They never ask themselves what's going on when it's not working. They continue to force feed the issue because it's worked before. They know the how. Just ask them. They know the why they do it. Just ask them. What they don't know is what's going wrong when it doesn't work. And so they just do. I know it works. I know this works.
You know
I can bring blank here.
You know what you're describing? The last 4 years and 3 games.
It ain't no coincidence. It's no coincidence. It's just human nature for higher level thinkers.
All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this hour. A little bit later, Joey Helmer. We'll talk some OU from Dylan Gabriel to Marvin Mims to Reggie Grimes and Brent Venables. Scott Shanley stops by at 9, and then Brandon Vogel in at 9:45 with his thoughts on the week that has been and the week ahead, because we will get into Nebraska and Oklahoma are going to play a football game on Saturday, as Oklahoma, by the way, hasn't turned a ball over in 2 weeks. Nice start for Venables.
Is that pretty? Hey, how about how he flipped? Look, this isn't Alex Grinch's defense. My man got meaty and physical up front along the D-line. This isn't the light, quick guys that run around. This is like this big boy Clemson, pre-going to Clemson, Oklahoma D-line, where you're not just going to push these guys around and have them shoot gaps. Boy, he's got his stamp all over this bad boy.
It didn't take very long. And his team management, on point. He probably got that from the guy he just worked for in Clemson. All right, 7:04. There's Damon. I'm Gary. Jimmy here as well on Sharp and Betting in the Morning on The Zone.
Omaha's most listened to all sports radio station. Again and again and again. 1620 The Zone. Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction. Presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and more. Join the show immediately after the game and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction on 101.9 The Keg and 1620 The Zone.
This is Scott Schultz from Host Coffee. 2022 marks our 50th year and business has never been better. We are rapidly growing and adding new customers, which means we need new route drivers and service technicians. We have new jobs for those new to the industry with little or no experience, and new careers that require knowledge in the coffee and vending world. There's a good chance we have just what you need in a new job. Host Coffee offers competitive pay and understands the work-life balance. Apply today at hostcoffee.net/careers and join our team.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're speaking another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
3 weeks. It's incredible. After 3 weeks, I'm on vacation in Paris, having a conversation in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel, évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
The 2022-23 Creighton sports season holds great promise for competing for Big East and national honors, and 1620 The Zone will be there all year long. The 1620 The Jays podcast covers all of Blue Jay sports, from volleyball, soccer, and cross country in the fall to basketball in the winter, plus baseball, softball, tennis, golf, and rowing. Join me, John Bishop, along with Josh Peterson and Connor Happer each week for interviews with Creighton student athletes and coaches. It's the 1620 The Jays podcast. New episodes each Friday on 1620thezone.com and on Twitter at 1620 The Jays.
Rally House, shop every team in town. College and pro, come on, it's time to go.
Get ready for kickoff, Omaha. Rally House has the game day gear you're looking for, including Chiefs sideline gear and the latest college styles.
Nebraska, Cornhuskers, Creighton, Blue Jays, Hawkeye, Cyclones, Chiefs, and Royals. Rally House, it's your city, it's your house, it's a Rally House.
Gear up in-store and online at rallyhouse.com.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're speaking another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
3 weeks. It's incredible. After 3 weeks, I'm on vacation in Paris, having a conversation in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel, évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Sharp and Benning in the morning on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and the 1620 The Zone app.
America loves football. They love the games. All the other stuff, the games, we tune in. College football, NFL ratings sky high. And we love the sport even more because of the rivalries and the trolls. And yesterday was a good day if you were into the troll game, as Bob Stoops and Fran McCaffrey made cameos that were sent to Brian Ferentz.
Folks play jokey jokes, don't they?
Bob Stoops, by the way, not a candidate for the Nebraska job.
No way.
But he'll be here this weekend to support his son. Yeah. Check him off the list.
Oh, my goodness.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone traffic.
From the Burden AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect some pretty significant slowdown near 108th and L. And then on Center, be prepared for some minor delays from 192nd to 183rd. And along Highway 370, be prepared for some major delays near 150th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Everyone knows Saul's pays top dollar for your gold, but Saul's pays cash on the spot for your precious metals too. Silver, gold, platinum, coins, bars. Who wants to wait to get paid? Get to Saul's Jewelry and Loan.
Saul's Jewelry and Loan. You'll find it all at Saul's Jewelry.
At Sid Dillon Chevrolet, we prioritize you and your vehicle needs. Visit our dealerships to shop inventory or to order your new vehicle. Shop online at SidDillonChevy.com.
You are what drives us, Sid Dillon.
Chevy, find new roads.
Car repair is car repair. Most places you go can change your oil or fix your brakes. The difference is the experience you'll get at Omaha Car Care. We're part of the community. We were born here, and we believe that our relationship with you should be built to last. We're going to consult you, not sell you. We're going to give you a free loaner car. We're going to treat you like a valued friend that we want to continue to see in the years to come. I'm Rick Betker, owner of Omaha Car Care, and we'll be along for the ride.
Email unsportsmanlike conduct on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox with whatever is on your mind, from your hot takes to what you think is one. The Zone inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. We want to hear from you on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox.
Here are your 3 Chop House cheeseburgers. Enjoy your Sonic.
Do you think they need to bring them to us on like a fancy tray, like the?
I think like a platter.
We need a maitre d'.
Yes,
Sorry.
Joffrey, I'll take another, please.
Heavy on the Chop House, please.
An aioli.
Elevate your taste buds with the all-new Sonic Chop House Cheeseburger, decadently layered with crispy onion strings and covered in a creamy Chop House aioli. For a limited time, only at Sonic. Limited time only at participating Sonic drive-ins.
The Madness Haunted House will terrify you to your very soul. Come, your pants all over the 2 acres of fear at Pioneer Trail Orchard, screaming for 30 minutes until you can scream no more. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram, fearthemad.com.
Don't miss this week's Zone Deal.
This week's half-off deal is from Vallo's Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard. Get 2 anytime passes for the price of 1. An $80 value for just $40. Over 50 attractions are included. The Pumpkin Eating Dragon, the new carousel, a barnyard challenge course, zip line train rides, and more. Vallo's Pumpkin Patch, open September 23rd.
Zone deals go fast. 9 a.m. Friday, 1620thezone.com.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're speaking another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
3 weeks. It's incredible. After 3 weeks, I'm on vacation in Paris, having a conversation in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel, évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. Sharp and Benning in the morning on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and the 1620 The Zone app. Here are Gary Sharp and Damon Benning.
Well, when you're an offensive coach, you better understand defense where they should be. And I always use my brother for example. He was a college quarterback, but he was a defensive back in the NFL. He was a college quarterback. Now he's a DC in the NFL. So you got to know what's going on the other side of the ball. You know where they should be. It's football, guys. It's either 4 down or 3 down. It's either 2 high or 1 high. We haven't been winning here. Okay, but I wouldn't say it's a losing culture, because a losing culture is kids that don't come to work. You know, now these kids don't play in a lot of tight games. You know, I don't think they ever been blown out. They're playing a lot of tight games. So now we got to figure out how to get them over the hump. You know, how to get over the hump, and then I got to do a better job with the players before they go to interviews and make comments like that.
Wow. What was that sound by Jimmy 25, 30 seconds. I think, Damon. There was so much in there.
Yeah.
We're going to need 4 hours to break down that little 25-minute soundbite. Welcome back in. Hour 2, Sharp and Betting in the Morning. There's Damon, Jimmy here as well. Also, Mickey went a little Al Pacino, dropped in a little Any Given Sunday line as he met the media yesterday. Midweek, Nebraska and Oklahoma coming up. Last night in Lincoln, inside of the Devaney Center, which was jam-packed. We're spoiled around here if you're a college volleyball fan, because not only do you get all 3 Division I programs are playing each other, but also they are playing teams in the non-con that are major powers. And Stanford rolled into Lincoln last night. Devaney Center's packed. It's a jewel of a place for 2.5 hours. Stanford walked out winning in 4 sets. So Nebraska fails their first test of the season and their first loss. But something happened.
Well, I don't know. Not the first test, though.
Their first test of a top 10 team where, their whole motto is 2 points better. And they couldn't get over the hump last night. And it was not a aesthetically pleasing. The atmosphere was great. I mean, there were 8,300, 8,400 people that were in the building, standing room only, shoulder to shoulder. It just, all the hype for it, the quality of play didn't live up. There were a lot of service errors. And Stanford beat Nebraska again. They beat them 5 straight times. So that's a test that Nebraska didn't ace. So they'll move on and they play Kentucky this weekend. But something happened there last night that for Stanford that just reminds you and I and other people around our age that we are old. Harold Miner, his daughter, is playing last night, and she is a star at Stanford.
Baby Jordan.
Cammie Miner. So there's some irony here. Stanford walks into Lincoln last night, wins in the Devaney Center in volleyball. So Stanford has beaten Nebraska 5 straight matches over 5 years. And, Stanford and Wisconsin right now are the thorn in the side of John Cook. That's the next hump to get over. But you go back, 1991, Baby Jordan, USC, George Raveling is the head coach. They roll into the Devaney Center on the 25th of November. Okay. The best day of any day of the entire year is November 25th. Nebraska and USC, it's a Monday night. They're playing at the Devaney Center. Harold Miner goes off for 43 in the game. The most points that have ever been scored inside of the Devaney Center. And he wasn't even healthy. He kind of turned his ankle. I remember he took a lot of shots that night. I mean, he might have put up 30 shots in that game, but he rolled his ankle and still was able to put up 43. And Nebraska won the game. I mean, that 91-92 Nebraska team was pretty good. But there's also the part of the Harold Miner in 91 playing in that building and his daughter last night playing in that building for Stanford. Do you remember he used to be the PA voice of the Devaney Center for men's basketball, and then he also was the PA voice for Nebraska volleyball, Steve Johnson?
Oh, yeah.
Retired, lives in Arizona. I think Steve is still the PA voice for the Final Four for volleyball. But he made the comment over the PA that Harold Miner had broke the arena record for points. Danny Nee, in the middle of a game, tried to get Steve Johnson fired. He snapped at him when he heard it over the PA.
Hey, that's not. Hey, listen, you're the home guy. It's for our team.
But Harold Miner,
You're talking about those accolades.
Harold Miner that night was unbelievable.
Yeah,
it never worked out when he went to the Heat and
we couldn't shoot.
Yeah, that hurt him a little bit.
Yeah, you had to be able to shoot right outside of just being able to go left. How about what she hit last 286 or something like that?
That's impressive.
Yeah,
I mean they're Stanford is number 9 in the country, and they're going to move up, and they played a difficult schedule. And then maybe we'll see Stanford back in Omaha in December.
Hold on the phone.
Texas, Stanford, Nebraska, Creighton. Did you take that? All right, coming up in about an hour, we'll talk to Joey Helmer, who is an OU insider. But let's start the hour on Sharp and Betting in the Morning with our good friend Art. Hello, Art.
Hey, TB. Good morning, GS.
What's up, buddy?
I got a question. Okay, did the Nebraska just make history, back-to-back quarterbacks coaches, and also to Mickey go down Lincoln this Saturday, upset Oklahoma 42-28, and DB go West Side and go Northwest. The Northwest High School I went to.
Appreciate it.
Hopefully you get a win and answer. Is this history of 2 quarterbacks back to back as head coaches? God bless. Thank you.
Art, thanks. Yeah.
That I don't know.
Frost and Joseph both being quarterbacks in Nebraska, I would say yes, off the top of my head.
And I don't think Bob Devaney slung it. T.O. did, though.
No, and then Solich ran it.
Yeah. And Bill Callahan did nada.
Pelini defended it.
Yeah. And Mike Riley slung it.
Yeah.
Oh, so Riley to Frost.
So the last three coaches at Nebraska have been quarterbacks.
The more you know.
Okay.
All right, Art. That's a deep thinker.
Yeah.
Now, definitely back-to-back Nebraska quarterbacks.
Hey, how about my man AC? The irony of Stanford. Do you know who their PA voice is?
Is it Steve Johnson?
It would be Steve Frost.
Oh, yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Land the plane, small world.
We're just going to tie everything in today, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done it since 99.
Okay. Wow, that wasn't very long after his playing career got over.
They look just alike, too.
They do.
Strong genes.
They do.
The genes are strong.
But when Stanford and Nebraska are playing and that's a conference match, whew.
I hope so.
That'd be nice.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. Here is Old Man Doug. What's up, Doug?
Good morning.
Hi, Doug. How are you?
Good. Yesterday's press conference, and I've been saying it for a while, and I'd like to get your opinion on it. Gary, you probably have one too, but Bings Damon, you're a coach. This not tackling in practice, and I've debated this with other people, and then I heard this term in spring, we're going to thud up. That's the dumbest thing and I did play some college football.
You barely have any skin on your bones, Doug. Could you take a hit?
I was a lover, not a fighter. I was fast. I run away from it. It didn't catch me, which is partially true. But that comment blew me away. And I asked that at the World Herald panel for their Big Red Breakfast. And here's where I'm going with this. Fedoni has had 2 knee injuries, correct? ACLs, right?
He's had one for sure. Yes. Yeah.
But those weren't from being tackled, my understanding.
Correct.
And so I'm saying, is there where's the risk reward there? And as far as I get it, you don't want to beat your team up. You feel like you don't have any depth, but at some point, I think you're just as heck, we've been getting punters and kickers injured in practice. So I don't understand why live tackling increases the risk that much. And obviously, I think we haven't been a good tackling team, and people are going to say, well, the NFL doesn't do it. Well, the players in the NFL already know how to tackle, so they don't really need to practice it. I think our people definitely need to practice tackling. And that was one thing. And then this morning, and I don't know how your Twitter feed works. Sometimes it's the latest, and sometimes it's from 2 days ago.
Tweet deck, man. I get. You know what? On my mobile, stuff does pop up from like a couple of days ago, but Tweet deck stays pretty current. What's on your mind?
Oh, well, I saw there was a lot of discussion over Michael Severe's comments.
Yeah.
And I love Michael, and just about some of the things that were going on there. And I guess where I'm going is, when is it crossing the line as a reporter? Because I do think that Sam McEwen, even Thomas Chattel is still apologizing for things that he did and wrote 20-some years ago. When is it crossing the line? And if you do ask a tough question, maybe not a personal question, because we don't want to get into that, but as far as like showing up late for meetings and those types of things, is that, if you bring that up, if you ask that question, do they just blackball you from getting a press pass? And can you guys comment on that?
Yeah, I appreciate the call, Doug. You want to go first? Or?
Well, let's do, because this is on our show rundown to discuss. I mean, Doug asked a lot. There's the tackling part. There's the TMZ. Why don't we ask tough questions?
You want to get to the tackling thing? Take a break and then hit the other.
Yeah, let's do the tackling. Then we'll come back and we'll talk about the media.
Because I'm chomping at the bit. Because yeah. Put your seatbelt on for this one.
So
don't. And I just say this: don't ask the questions unless you're prepared to receive the answer. Don't ask the questions to anything you don't want to know. So we may lose about 45% of our listening audience if we're talking to you after the break.
So let's talk about tackling. And Mickey said we're going to go faster. We're going to play fast on defense.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to tackle. I think there's part of the whole. We hear tackling and we think, oh my God, they're going to beat the hell out of each other in practice. There are some things that you can fix without tackling, but you can't fix things if you're not going full speed. And if that involves, and it's better for you to be tackling, then that's all part of the process to get guys ready to play. I understand you got to risk the reward of getting guys injured, but you're smart. When we talk about tackling in practice, we're not talking about going 55 plays one-on-one. I mean, a lot of programs do tackle in practice and they go good on good. And it's like 10 to 15 plays where they go, we're going balls to the walls here. So tackling is now the hot word around here. I think there are ways to fix Nebraska's tackling woes that include non-tackling and, of course, tackling.
Yeah. We have different speeds that we go at. There's 3 of them. I won't get into that. Doug talked about thud. People call it different things. Some say grab skin. Yeah. We say grab skin, right? Because sometimes I think people think thud means just throw your shoulder into a guy. It means different things to different people. So just because you hear thud doesn't mean that they're just, they're not bringing hands, wrapping up. We say grab skin. Mm-hmm. We say grab skin, but don't take guys to the ground, right? If we want to take guys to the ground, we have a color that we give that, and we say, hey, we're going live. With regards to Nebraska practice and fast, I've been having these fascinating discussions with my guy, and we were texting back and forth last night. He used to have a segment on this show, right? He's over there on in Lincoln doing his thing, but I talked to Foreman quite a bit, and we're just talking about like nuances in practice speed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the things there's 2 things in there. Number one, if you practice fast, if you practice like real life scenarios, and we were just going through this yesterday with Millard North, right? They run a counter option. The whole key to their counter option is the pulling backside guard. If that backside guard doesn't pull in such a way where our linebackers can read, call, and react to pull, we're going to get creased because they have counter option, they have midline, they have veer. We have to see that full speed. Now you're gonna break a few dishes,
mm-hmm.
right? You're gonna break a few dishes. This guy's live, this guy's not, but we have to see it over and over again, right? It's what Mickey Joseph is saying. So if you're gonna play with 6 in the box and you get 2 pullers and they're gonna try to run counter, you have to fit that thing, has to be fit real game speed so you know what it feels like, so you don't always think you're a step slow. Because there's this thing called muscle memory where if you do something over and over and over again, it feels right to you. Doesn't mean that it's fast enough or repetitive enough to have a different caliber of competition. So the way that you try to lessen the variable is to do it as fast as you can, to simulate what you think you're going to get from the opponent. Then if you grab skin or you tackle or whatever, you're right. It's not 55 plays going live, but it's also not tagging off either. That means near foot, near shoulder, bring your hands. And a thud is a thud. Like, he has some disdain for the term thud, but thud means kind of stopping progress.
Mm-hmm.
And occasionally guys go to the ground. And all coaches are going to say, every coach in America that coaches at a decent level is going to say, hey, we're not taking them to the ground, but they're not upset that you did as long as you don't go low.
Blow the whistle and you're on to the next play.
Then you just run the next play. You just don't want to turn it into a free-for-all. So thudding can mean grabbing skin and practicing proper technique. It just means it's a step further than tagging off.
So
because tagging hips and stuff like that, I mean, Foreman said something to me the other day that was unbelievably accurate, and he caught it. He said, he's like, DB. He goes, I know you don't get into pictures and all that and whatever. He goes, but then he showed me, he's talking about a snapshot from practice. And he goes, player X his hands are here and he's tagging off. That right there is hard to simulate real game time because he's not even on his hip. Like it's tough to ask him to recreate that in real game speed because you're not in position when it's actually moving faster.
Okay, are we talking like the scout team giving him a look?
Not
or going regular against regular.
This particular juncture was not good on good. But I mean, let's not act like, Coach Frost didn't want to ramp that up because he did. And who knows, right? Like, we assess a lot of blame and he wasn't doing this and he wasn't doing that. When he did say, hey, listen, you know what? We need to go more good on good.
Yeah.
He may have said, I already know the counter argument, right? Well, he's the head coach. Sometimes it's not that easy. Maybe I don't know or not, but maybe he did want to go good on good. And maybe the consensus among the staff was to not.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be that guy either. You hope that you permeated a culture where, everybody's on board, kind of moving in the same direction with how to practice. But I'm going to be honest, man. Like, let's keep it 100. Sometimes Coach Lamanji or Coach Sikora or somebody will want to do something a different tempo. Just shoot. Just yesterday. Right? Coach Lamanji, Coach Sikora. Hey, let's do this. What do you think? I'm like, I don't know.
Because your guys weren't ready?
No, I thought we were tired.
Okay, so
I thought we were tired.
Okay.
And I know, and I'm usually it's usually the other way, right? I'm like, man, shoot, do it. And they said it again. And I could tell by their delivery, it's like, hey, let's make this happen. We'll do X amount of number. And in the first thing I thought of was like, okay, I trust these guys. I swear to goodness.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not making this up just because it's convenient. And they can vouch for it. But I wasn't on board at first. And they said it again. And I was like, they know. Like, I trust them. Like, Coach Core runs our weight room. Like, he knows when they did squat. Like, all of that factored in my head. I say all that to say, sometimes you need uniformity amongst the staff too. It just can't be 2 or 3 or 4 guys that are in on the idea because not everybody approaches that drill the same. If everybody's all in on how to approach a station, it sets the tenor. If your guy is reluctant and he's coaching your position, but that guy across from you is all in because he coaches another position, the drill is going to be a disaster because the players vibe off what the coach's feel is. That's just how it works. I mean, anybody that's played, any guy will tell you, listen, if Milt was all in on going live and Coach now this would never happen because Coach McBride would be like, turn it up. But let's say Coach McBride was like, nah, let's temper it down. Or just the opposite. Coach wanted to gas it up. McBride wanted to gas it up. And Coach Tenneper was like, hey, man, we're not taking guys to the ground. His guys would approach it that way until poop hit the fan. Then maybe you had to get it crunk, right? Like then maybe the party will get started because you'll get knocked on your ass. But I say that to say everybody has to be on board with how to do practice or it doesn't work. Somebody's going to get hurt. You either have to be all in on contact or all out. Never seen Breaking Bad. I said it yesterday, but I'll say it again. It's just one of those things where you say no half measures. And so maybe Coach Frost was like, hey, man, we need to hit. And, 3 coaches were like, not. Or maybe 3 coaches were like, hey, man, we need to hit. And X amount of coaches were not. I don't know. I'm just not quick to throw Frost under the bus and say he didn't want to hit because he was the one that told me at the podium that they need to go more good on good and why they didn't. So maybe it came to him and some of his guys weren't on board. And now maybe that everybody's on pins and needles because there's a new sheriff in town.
Yeah.
Maybe everybody has to be on board. I'm just saying that to say, don't be so quick to say it was or wasn't a Frost thing because I don't know.
So do you know this? I had this conversation with Kaz because we talked about mistakes that happened during practice. And He was part of a staff where they would wait until they got upstairs to fix them instead of on the field in the moment. You've seen these guys practice. Is that a big deal? I mean, is this a staff that likes to fix things in real time, or they wait until they're together in a room and they can show them on video?
It's more video. And pull guys to the side when the next group goes in. But you have to know your audience. That's a great point, because we talked about this when this was some years ago. Whether you teach on the fly, and it's a mix. Some guys get annoyed when other coaches are like slowing the thing down and you want to teach. And you just have to get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you ask permission. Hey, can we run it again? Hey, coach, can we turbo that? No. On to the next one. We'll catch it in film. Just depends on the staff.
We come back. We'll address the other part of Doug's question, the Nebraska media becoming TMZ. As we move towards the 8 o'clock hour, which will include Joey Helmer from 24/7, covers the Sooners. Scott Shanley stops by. Good week 2 slate in the NFL, which includes a Monday night doubleheader. Monday Night Football got humongous ratings with Buck and Aikman.
A big number.
And it starts tomorrow night on Amazon. I figured out how to record on Amazon for the Chiefs and the Chargers. And then Brandon Vogel is in as well. Sharp betting in the morning, in the middle of your week. Thanks for stopping by. 1620 The Zone.
Previously on The Crossover.
Nick, what the hell? I'm busy on Sundays.
I'm busy.
This is pathetic.
Nick, how busy were you?
Laundry. I had so much laundry yesterday.
Okay, you're watching TV.
You don't stand there and watch the laundry, do you? My God. That's pathetic. That's pathetic.
Sharp and betting in the morning. The Connor Happer Show. Unsportsmanlike conduct. 6A to 6P. 1620. The Zone.
Ted Wally's the place to go, right? You're thinking, 90s? Man, that sounds like ice cream weather. Out just kind of hanging out. Maybe you're like me. You just want to catch your breath. You want to get away for a while? It's about ice cream, not about anything else. Ted and Wally's, they are here for you. All right, well, over 3,000 flavor combinations, plus 2 great locations downtown and in Benson. So you got a couple of opportunities to get it right. Maybe you just finished. You're like, hey, this first month and a half of school, it has been a grind. So much is going on. We just like a little ice cream, or, maybe it's you're celebrating the practice from a high school dance, or, it's the homecoming committee and you need some stuff catered in. Whatever it is, Ted and Wally's has got you covered. Again, over 3,000 flavor combinations. You can get sorbet, keto, gluten-free, vegan. They've got you covered. All the great taste. Again, 2 ways to get it right. Downtown and in Benson. Stopping out for some ice cream at Ted and Wally's.
Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Heating up a bit more Wednesday. Expect mostly sunny skies in the morning with a few more clouds in the afternoon. Breezy south wind gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour with highs around 91. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
The Zone Hotline is powered by Lust Hills Harley-Davidson, your home in the hills.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burden AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have a couple of accidents to report, starting with one along eastbound I-80 near 60th Street, and that's going to be backed up all the way to 72nd, and you can expect delays of up to 5 minutes in that area. And then there's also an accident to report along Highway 50 at Meadows Parkway, so please be cautious if you are in that area as well. And along Dodge, be prepared for some major slowdowns from 94th to 90th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Lanahan Nurseries.
Cool air temperatures mixed with warm soil temperatures means it's time to plant. Visit Lanaha's Garden Center for the Metro's largest selection of homegrown trees and plants. Rooted in quality, unmatched value. Lanahan Nurseries, 192nd and Center.
At Sid Dillon Chevrolet, we prioritize you and your vehicle needs. Visit our dealerships to shop inventory or to order your new vehicle. Shop online at SidDillonChevy.com.
You are what drives us, Sid Dillon.
Chevy, find new roads.
Cox Panoramic Wi-Fi includes advanced security to help protect all your connected devices. You'll get real-time alerts. Oh, like this one, so you don't have to worry about malware. Or when your kid downloads a song from a shady link. And now all your computer can play is
red color, where are you?
all blocked, thanks to advanced security, included with Cox Panoramic Wi-Fi. Advanced security must be enabled in the Panoramic Wi-Fi app. Restrictions apply.
Sunday morning is all about church, eggs, and the Sunday paper. But right next to church, it's made for hot takes and reactions. Severe Reactions. Michael Severe is back on 1620 The Zone with Severe Reaction. Sundays 8 to 10 and doesn't hold back on what went right and what went wrong on Saturday. He'll also take calls from the most important voice of all, yours. Severe Reaction. Sundays from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Only on 1620 The Zone.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you have to drive 300 miles to your cousin's wedding. Okay, so it's his fourth. But you know what they say, fourth time's the charm. Well, here's the problem. Your tires are as bald as I am. But lucky for you, eBay Motors has tires for just about every make and model. Plus wheels, lug nuts, jack stands, and more. 122 million parts. Do they have tissues? Oh, good, because I'm definitely a crier. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Brent Rasmussen of Mortgage Specialists. When is the best time to buy a house? The answer is now. It's always now. With interest rates creeping up, the real estate market has slowed down, except for the people that were planning on upgrading their home because of life changes. But the one thing we want to let people know is, even if you buy a house now at the higher rate, we anticipate rates to fall. That means you can buy your house now and refinance down the road. Lots of folks think waiting this out is a good strategy. The trouble is values keep rising, so waiting doesn't really help. Plus, if rates come back down, the market will just get busy again, meaning you'll be competing against more buyers with multiple offers, and you might not get the house that you want. We're seeing the market starting to get back to normal, which is a good thing for buyers and sellers.
Click mtg-specialists.com. NMLS number 5918, Equal Housing Lender.
Listen to 1620 The Zone anywhere, anytime. Online at 1620thezone.com and on the 1620 The Zone mobile app. You can hear all of your 6A to 6P favorites in the 1620 The Zone app, powered by Woodhouse Auto Family.
It's time for the gates to open. And pure evil to be released.
Scary Acres is back. Omaha's ultimate haunted attractions. The Master's Castle, House on the Hill, The Haunted Woods. Scary Acres open this Friday, 172nd and Giles. Sponsored in part by Stereo West, Raising Cane's, and Hy-Vee.
Hey everyone, Jimmy Allen.
And Rob Love here. We are now working banker hours.
That's right, the After Hours Lounge is now open from 6 to 8, Monday through Friday.
So come stop by and open up a tab.
We talk all things Huskers, Jays, Mavs, and even Reavers.
And we talk to everyone in the community when it comes to high school sports. We are powered by Cabinet Design Studios.
And Iowa Western Community College.
On 1620 The Zone.
Make the right call, fans. The Rooferees at John Higgins Weather Guard.
Rooferees. Sharp and betting in the morning on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and the 1620 The Zone app.
Well, I thought they tackled good today. I think that when they have the opportunity to do it, I think they do it well. It's something it's muscle memory, something that you got to do a lot to get it done. Tackling's not easy. I think what happens when I talk to my brother, he says what happens when he gets college defensive backs, one, they don't process real well because they play nothing but man, and two, they don't tackle real well. So when we say we had to address the tackling issue, you can't attack it. You can't attack the tackling issue without tackling, and that's what we did.
Did I hear a little advocating for 7-on-7 football growing up?
Man.
The 7-on-7 world is kind of, he made the comment about DBs tackling. I think that also adds into it because we see that in high school, like early on. Sometimes people have trouble tackling, but I wonder how much that carries over when you get players that come into college. Well, that's one thing I think will be a little little fix for this weekend. I mean, there's issues, as you and I know, that we've discussed ad nauseum that you're not going to be able to fix.
Right.
I mean, overnight. But a tweak here or there, maybe you get the intended result.
Mhm.
You're going to find out pretty dang quick when 11 o'clock comes on Saturday and that offense is throwing the ball over the yard. I mean, there's some guys you can't hide, even if you're tackling more in practice.
And I don't know how much they're going to throw it all over the yard, man. That ground game, they may try to get that going too.
That's where I would go first with Major and Gray.
Yeah.
I mean, until Nebraska proves to anybody they can stop you on the run. But then if they turn Mims loose and they get Drake Stoops involved, I mean, they've had, for Venables, and I know they played UTEP and they played Kent State, it's about as good as you can imagine to start your career at a place like OU. Now they get their challenge because they play K-State next week. So the next 2 weeks is when you're going to start to learn more about Oklahoma. But they haven't turned the football over. And they have given up the fewest points in a long time to begin season. Well, more on OU coming up in about an hour with Joey Helmer from 24/7.
Is 5 touchdowns and no interceptions from Gabriel, even though the first half looked a little, just getting ready for just looking at Oklahoma, it didn't look smooth offensively necessarily. Like, what are you expecting to see versus what Nebraska has done defensively? Do you look for Nebraska to be the get right medicine, or do you think Nebraska can take advantage of where Oklahoma's been a little clunky?
I think one thing, Oklahoma's offensive line is still a work in progress.
Yeah.
And with that said, Gray and Major have been able to pick up yards. Again, I think they'll run the football in Nebraska until they're proven that they can't run the football. And then if they can run the football, geez, Gabriel can pick apart whatever he
They're
wants.
going for over 5 per as a team.
It's the other side of the ball because I think people think, okay, well, defense is going to give up a lot of points. Well, maybe that offense, they've given up 1 touchdown in 2 games. They lead the country in tackles for losses. I mean, that defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a challenge.
Yeah,
it's going to be a challenge on both sides of the ball. You're going to have to win the special teams game. You're going to have to win the field position game, which Nebraska hasn't for 3
If I'm
weeks.
Nebraska, though, like, I'm going to try to generate pressure. Listen, I know that wide receiving core, I get it, right? I get it. Stoops, Wassa, Mims. But Gabriel, they've had a fairly difficult time protecting Gabriel.
Yeah, offensive line, work in progress. He's 36 of 51.
Yeah, right around.
I mean, their first half was not pretty at all.
Yeah, that's what.
they punted their first 4
and I'm
times.
just trying to see what was being done to him, as you're kind of watching it, and it's basically collapsing the pocket. But I don't know if that's playing in Nebraska's strengths or not.
How you gonna get there? All right. Question that was asked, and then we took a break. We said we would address it. As yesterday was another day of moving forward, where the Frost era is over. You focus on what matters now. You learn from what happened in the past. You move on. 16-31. It is what it is. You still got 9 games to get to a bowl game. You have a bunch of opportunities. You understand what you have to be built like to be the head coach at Nebraska, and then do the next step of a coaching football. And so after the fact, Michael on Sunday had some things to say. If you've listened to us for, I don't know, I would say this year, even before the season started, and at the beginning of his tenure as he learned to be a head coach at his alma mater, there are some things that were skipped in the process. And those became pretty evident. I mean, when you're 16-31, there's really no gray area. Okay, your record is what you are. Sometimes you're just a bad football coach, and you may do all the things right. You're just not very good. But there is probably a reason why close games, 16-31, not been able to happen. So this was kind of the pushback or how come all of those things into yesterday towards us in the media. And Doug asked the question about asking questions. And it wasn't necessarily football questions. It was your process, personal life questions that here or really anywhere else are asked. Nebraska media is not TMZ. We're not a pro market. Where in the pro market, you might go there. In the college market, I don't see it. I don't see the okay, coach, hey, let's talk about not the thing you were hired for, but let's talk about Scott Frost and what you do, or what you don't do. You just don't have that. So I'm leading you into this because you have a passionate discussion on this, about how us in the media, fans, coaches, all of that comes together about questions that are asked, and then also the person that's being asked the question, how they handle it.
Yeah, it's just frustrating because I think, people are darned if they do, darned if they don't. And the thing that pisses me off the most is I can't stand when, we you try to have conversations, and this it's hilarious, right? Because if you talk about situations that surround the program or surround a particular thing, right? I've been accused of this before. It's like, oh man, DB's just being too cryptic. He's cryptic. I always feel like it's the line from A Few Good Men. You can't handle the truth. And you really don't want to know what I know. And you don't always want to know when I know it. So I'm just speaking for me. I'm not speaking for Sam or, anybody else. When I ask the questions, hey, why don't you guys ask harder questions? If I'm just talking about this show in particular, if you listen to what we're saying and you're just objective, without, man, I don't like DB. He talks too much. He uses too big of words, or man, Sharpie's too buttoned up. He won't do this. He plays it safe or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If you just listen to the words, we'll try to tell you all you need to know. We will. Right? Sean said it best, Fisher. And I said this a couple weeks ago. I said, Sean kind of has me down. I said, the only pushback I'll give Sean on what he said about the synopsis on how we do our show is where I'll play the devil's advocate. And it's not necessarily the devil's advocate as much as if you've ever listened to a word that I've ever said on this show, I want to empower you, the listener, to make your own decisions. I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other. I'm for people. I want people to be free thinkers. Do with the information what you will. If you think I use too many words, if you don't like the way that I ask questions, or if you do or whatever, all that's fine and good. Just do your best to not let it distract you. If it distracts you, don't listen. Right? Like that's first and foremost. Like if it's not for you, do something different. Like I want people to be happy. And in pursuit of happiness, you have the right to turn the dial. So get the heck out of here if it's not for you. But if it is, then just listen without being critical on whether you like the person or not. I've said this from the jump, whether it's Dirk or Lee or Sam or Tom or Brian Christopherson or whatever. You limit your capacity to gather information if you have preconceived notions about who the author is. And I'm not saying you have to listen. I follow Jason Litwack. I think he's trash, but every now and again, I learn something. And it's on me that I choose to entertain what he's saying, even though 95% of what he says I don't agree with. I always like to know how other people think so I can formulate opinions. And I'm telling you, if you're listening to information, I heard this 1,000 times yesterday. Well, why did he do this? And why does the media not know? You can't handle it. You can't handle what people may hear because you're kidding yourselves if you think this stuff wasn't out here way before. And I'm not vouching for Michael just because he's family. I'm just saying he said what was on his mind, and you do with it what you. It doesn't. Listen, if you think Michael said something that Sam didn't know or Tom hadn't heard or whatever, like you're crazy. That doesn't make the media cowards. Ask yourself what the alternative is, because the low-hanging fruit from folks whose elevators don't go halfway to the top is, oh man, it's just for clicks and views. They just want clicks. For some reason, people still think radio works like that. Newsflash, it doesn't work like that. We don't care about clicks. We don't care about page views. I mean, we do, but we don't. But that's not how we get paid. You rather be right than well liked. You don't. There is no shock and awe. But we're either too cryptic, or we don't say enough, or it's why don't you just tell us, oh man, it's just clickbait. Because what good does it do to say, I heard this, or this is what I believe to be true, or hey, this is a problem, this is what happened in such and such a place, and deal with what comes with that, because you can't handle the information. Stop blaming the people that give the information and look at yourself on how you process and consume it. If you weren't so quick to clap back and cry about what you heard, then maybe people would tell you more. If you'd like to know more and we're not saying more, then sit back and listen. You, the listeners, cannot play in both worlds. It's hilarious. Oh man, you're a coward and you knew this and didn't say this. Yet you'll be the same people on Twitter that will poo-poo every little thing that comes up and say, can't you just cheer for the old coach? Can't you just support the program? That's how it goes. I'm just keeping it 100.
I love the voice.
It drives me freaking bonkers. Yet you want to blame the people giving you the information, and you act like 10-year-olds when they tell you. Stop giving people that much power over the way you think. Control the information that you gather, take a deep breath, and move the frick on. Listen, if I'm lying, I'm dying. 951-1620. Hit your boy up. I'm here for it.
You might be dying.
I'm here for it. If you love the guy and you didn't want him to go and you didn't want to hear anything and you buried your head in the sand like an ostrich, then don't be mad that people don't want to tell you because they know you're not listening anyway. It's not a coward move. It's what good does it do people real time? We're not TMZ. We're not in the rumor business, but just because we wait to say it, they're basically daring you to refute what's said. But real time, it doesn't help the student athletes. But believe me, when people come out and refute what's said, where are those people? No, man, it wasn't like this. It was really like this. Well, if you knew it, why didn't you say it? Because we don't trust the consumer of the information. That's why. And also, when you're talking about people's character, that's not radio. That's not print. It's not. And speak of the devil, you can take the call.
We got to take a break.
All right, well.
But what he said is that there's
I
nothing.
mean, am I stop me when I'm telling a lie. Is there ever any, if you want people if you want Sam and me and Sharp and Greg Sharp and Matt Davison and Michael Severe and Brian Christopherson and Mike Schaefer, you think Mike Schaefer hasn't heard? Look, you guys are funny, right? It's like Schaefer will allude to things. Oh man, Mike Schaefer's doom and gloom. No, man, Mike Schaefer knows a lot of players. He's not pulling it out of his ass. Like, he's telling you what you need to hear, and you're not listening. Right? Like, again, most people in this business rather be credible than well-liked. They'll take what comes with being credible. Just ask yourself the same thing we do. How can I be better? How is this beneficial to the end game? And what can I control? All the responsibility can't be on the giver of the information. You folks decide what's news. You own a certain responsibility for how you process. Well, it's the media's fault. All I hear is they're running the ball fantastic and they got the next Eric Dickerson on campus. You think you're not going to have a coach that says, I don't want to crown a guy and retire his number? Like, what are we talking about? There's no individual autonomy. It's everybody else's fault because they tell you what you don't want to hear. Why fight that battle when you don't have to?
It's exhausting.
Say it for those in the back that can't hear.
Exhausting.
I mean, these people are crazy, man. It's like, and it's such low-hanging fruit. It's like you parrot the next thing somebody else says because you don't want it to be so. Sometimes it just is what it is. And then you got to kind of be adult. You got to process the information and say, okay, that's gonna change my day. It's gonna move my needle. Okay, now I know. But like to refute and fight every little thing somebody says and to want to defend just because you believe something different, it's exhausting. We'll take a break. Hear from the man. Back after this on Sharp and Benning in the Morning.
Remember, no matter how you listen, it's still AM radio. 1620, The Zone.
Football season is underway, and my good friends at Tickets for Less have you covered. Ticketsforless.com has by far the best selection of Husker tickets, and they also are your source for the largest selection of Kansas City Chief tickets, all at the lowest prices. What a winning deal. Tickets for Less, you never pay hefty per ticket service fees like you do on the other sites, so you can save big money. So when it's time to lock in your seat for the next big game, be sure to head over to ticketsforless.com or call 402-398-1999 now to work with the greatest customer care team. Your game day starts at ticketsforless.com.
Rush! This Halloween season, Blood Rush returns bigger and better than ever before. Over 40 minutes of heart-pumping fear. Blood Rush! Journey through the darkest part of the forest where no one can hear you scream. Rated the #1 haunt in Nebraska by Cosmopolitan and Ranker. Blood Rush! Discount tickets on sale now at scareomaha.com.
Reward yourself with Kasasa Free Checking. Liberty First Credit Union invites you to open a free Kasasa checking account and earn up to 3% APY for up to $30,000. Get paid for banking. What are you waiting for? Earning a high reward rate is easy, and Kasasa checking is always free. Liberty First Credit Union offers free online banking and bill pay, free e-statements, free mobile banking, and so much more. See libertyfirstcu.com for details. Federally insured by NCUA. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose.
Let me get you up to speed on the service that you need.
Brian recently had us tow his all-wheel drive Mercedes from another shop. He was told it needed a new transmission for over $4,000. As it turned out, the reason he had no forward was because his front CV axle was bad. We replaced the axle for a few $100 and he was back on the road.
Transmission, shifting to running smooth.
Imagine it's a scorcher and your home's AC just quit. Sometimes it's beyond repair and needs to be replaced. At 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning, our comfort specialists take the frustration out of the equation. Modern AC systems are more energy efficient, which is good news for your energy bill. Call 402-788-1234 or visit McCarthy's1hour.com.
Always on time, or you don't pay time. Always on time, or you don't pay time.
Independently owned and operated, licensed in their respective state or county.
This is Scott Schultz from Host Coffee. 2022 marks our 50th year and business has never been better. We continue to grow and add new customers. Many employers are looking for new ideas for their staff as people return to the office. Our pantry service is a great office amenity for staff and guests. Fresh food, snacks, coffee, water, and other beverages for employees and guests. Enhance your office experience with pantry service from Host Coffee. Learn more at hostcoffee.net.
Rally House, shop every team in town.
college and pro. Come on, it's time to go.
Get ready for kickoff, Omaha. Rally House has the game day gear you're looking for, including Chiefs sideline gear and the latest college styles.
Nebraska Cornhuskers, Creighton Blue Jays, Hawkeye Cyclones, Chiefs and Royals. Rally House. It's your city, it's your house, it's a Rally House.
Gear up in-store and online at rallyhouse.com.
There's nothing quite like listening to the Kansas City Royals line ball to deep left. To the wall. Deep. On 1620 The Zone.
Sharp and Benning in the morning on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and the 1620 The Zone app.
All right, coming up here a little bit, Michael Severe would like to speak to us. I'd like to speak to him about that Saints combined jersey that he was wearing. Come on, man.
Dude, he stays Saint. He stays.
I know that's all he
Saints
wears.
up.
That's all he wears.
Man. Well, that and the Mets. I wonder if he had on the Saint socks too. Think he did?
We'll talk to a former Saint, a Super Bowl champion, Scott Chanley, coming up at 9 today. In the hour, Joey Helmer, more on what we just spoke about. That's coming up next. Sharp and Betting in the morning.
Bill Jones.
And Olivia.
Here for Jones Bros Cupcakes. Have you tried our new chimney cones yet, Olivia?
They are so yummy.
Chimney cones are stacked on a sugar-coated croissant cone with gelato. We have flavors like birthday cake, strawberries and cream, s'mores, salted caramel, and more.
I love the birthday cake chimney cone topped with a mini cupcake. So good.
Come see us at Jones Bros Cupcakes and Cafe in Exarban Village.
We appreciate your support.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burden AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have a couple of accidents to report, starting with one along eastbound I-80 near 60th Street, and that's going to be backed up all the way to 72nd, and you can expect delays of up to 5 minutes in that area. And then there's also an accident to report along Highway 50 at Meadows Parkway, so please be cautious if you are in that area as well. And along Dodge, be prepared for some major slowdowns from 94th to 90th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery.
The Nebraska Lottery has raised over $880 million, which has helped provide more than 117,000 college scholarships, save wildlife habitats across the state, and fund new facilities at the Nebraska State Fair. The Nebraska Lottery, helping to build a better Nebraska.
Hi guys, it's Andrew. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Did you know that a major medical breakthrough has just arrived? Today, Wednesday, September 14th, we're running a one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Brookside Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. It's backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge. If you're ready to regain that spark in the bedroom, today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also a gift that can produce powerful results in the bedroom in minutes. That's worth the trip alone, guys, trust me. And today only, we're offering 6 tune-up treatments to our patients free, worth $1,000. Call today, and it's all no charge. 402-671-7777. That's 402-671-7777. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Brookside Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 402-671-7777.
That's the sound of a crack in the ceiling found at a home inspection. But with a Realtor by your side, a newfound leak might only cause minor worries. With their expertise, a Realtor can suggest a credit at closing and even connect you to a contractor to help you shore up that leak and alleviate your worries. When it comes to cracks in your plans, the expertise of a Realtor can make all the difference. The difference between an agent and a Realtor is real. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
The big box stores have a secret. When you walk out the door with a new purchase, that's where the service ends. At Ty's Outdoor Power and Service, you get great deals on brands like Hustler, Toro, Honda, and Steel. Plus, you get a dedicated experienced service center. With annual maintenance and repairs, your equipment will last longer and perform when you need it most. See us in Lincoln, Omaha, or Gretna and get 10% off your residential service. Visit TysOutdoorPower.com, promo code radio, or mention radio to redeem.
Don't miss this week's Zone Deal.
This week's half-off deal is from Vallo's Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard. Get 2 anytime passes for the price of 1. An $80 value for just $40. Over 50 attractions are included. The Pumpkin Eating Dragon, the new carousel, a barnyard challenge course, zip line train rides, and more. Vallo's Pumpkin Patch, open September 23rd.
Zone deals go fast. 9 a.m. Friday, 1620thezone.com. Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. Sharp and Benning in the morning on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and the 1620 The Zone app. Here are Gary Sharp and Damon Benning.
Well, you knew when the Oklahoma week was. You knew. The fans let you know. The coaches will let you know. The students will let you know. So you knew it was a big game, and you knew that that they were going to come in. They was going to be just as talented as you, because at that time, it was OU, Nebraska, and Colorado. That was the 3 top dogs. So you knew when OU game, and you was excited because you got to play a really good football team, and you knew this was your opportunity to come out and show the world that you was a really good football team. And I think this opportunity this weekend, that's what our kids are looking forward to.
I was yesterday interim head coach Mickey Joseph. Nebraska and Oklahoma comes your way at 11:07 on Saturday morning. It is the Fox game. Gus Johnson, Joel Klatt for OU in Nebraska. First time in 13 years that OU has been here. I'm not a child of the OU rivalry. My fondest memory of OU Nebraska was 96, 73-21, a game that you played in. That's my Sooner magic moment.
Yeah.
Mine was Colorado. I mean, I don't think you don't know the Oklahoma rivalry if you're basically under the age of 40. Because when I started following Nebraska football, OU was on a downturn, and those games were ugly.
Yeah.
That was just OU was in a bad spot. And then at the tail end of the Big 12, it came back, and you culminate by playing in the Big 12 championship game. But my lifetime, Colorado was the rivalry that got you juiced up. So for people, and hear Venables talk about it yesterday, 73-21, that 96 game is one that stands out. And there were a couple of games in between. 2000 down in Norman. Nebraska was up 14-0. Thought they were rolling. Game day was in the house. And then Heupel took over, and Torrance Marshall, the linebacker. And then 2001, of course, which is one of the most famous plays in the history of Nebraska football.
Well, and Bob Greasy said it in the 2000 broadcast, Nebraska came out driving a Ferrari and they blew a tire.
That was unfortunate. After a 14-0 and Dom Raiola challenged to fight the student section that was right behind the Nebraska bench down there in Norman. But from 1971, this is an amazing number, 1971 to 2001, 17 of those 31 meetings, Nebraska and Oklahoma both were in the top 10 when they met. 17 of 31 meetings between 71 and 2001, Nebraska, Oklahoma, both in the top 10. And it'll be awkward. You got Charles Thompson will be sitting wearing Nebraska colors watching Nebraska and Oklahoma play.
Yeah.
The bizarro portal world. So we're going to talk to Michael Severe in just a second. There's part of what Damon just talked about. The athletic director, essentially, the guy that is the man in charge that has been there for over a year, has been able to observe from afar, without going into details, he told you the issues. He told you the issues and very rarely do athletic directors go that deep about issues that you have to overcome. So if you listen, you're going to learn a lot.
Yeah, and you know what? And he did it without going in to detail, because that wasn't gonna help. And he kept saying, in fairness to Scott, like, what part of like that don't people understand? Like, are you really that surprised? Like, I it's just the main thing that's frustrating is I'm so sick of people like holding other people accountable for the way that they feel. Hold yourself accountable. Oh man, he said, and oh man, shock jock clicks, man. Yeah, okay. Like, how does that help him? Or how does that help her? Seriously, in the grand scheme of things. Clicks, man. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. I mean, yes and no, it does. Like, let me say that, but at least not for us. Like the minute if reporters and people that worked in the media talked about everything they heard that came to fruition, you know why they don't? Because they typically don't want to be the "yeah, I told you so" guy. That's the only reason you don't hear it more. It's more for them, not for you. Because there is some degree of, it's not even guilt. There's some degree of internal harboring where when things come to fruition or come to light, it's like, man, I should have said something. Like you go through that. It's just human nature. But man, these folks, it is wow.
A word that we discussed on the show.
I mean, can you imagine? Like, full disclosure, right? Can you imagine if we just told, and it's not even hearing? I mean, the phone rings 15 times a show. You think people don't know we're working? Can you?
No,
You guys, you're not ready for that. So just not.
Hey, go back to July in Indianapolis. This was another when Trev got surrounded about what he wants out of his program. I go back and look at this now, thinking of how the first 3 games of the season unfolded. Granular details. How about that word? Granular details.
Hey,
we've got to be mindful of the granular details.
You buried the lead. He told you 2 weeks ago after Northwestern. Background noise. There's rumor. There's innuendo. I know it's out there. Don't get distracted. But some of the media is the bad guy. He told you.
Here's the bad guy in the media, the shock jock. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Gary. Hey, Damon, what's up?
Hi, buddy. Hey, did you see somebody call me trash? I think they thought you were talking to me.
I think they did. I just want to say this real quick. All I want to say is, like, I got no benefit from that whatsoever. There obviously was no clicks. It wasn't my show. It wasn't any kind of podcast I was doing. I didn't get paid for it. It was simply, I'm watching the Saints game. The Saints make this incredible rally. They beat the hated Falcons. I get a call from a guy who produces one of my shows, Cam. You guys know him. He says, hey, can you swing by and do 15 minutes? I said, well, I got to pick up my kids at 4. I had time. And I'm listening to these guys talk on this. I don't even know. I apologize. I don't know who I was even talking to on the show, whose show it was. But anyway, they were talking about the wins and losses. And I got frustrated. And because it's so annoying to listen sometimes to people talk about this football program. I've been here since 2002 now. I've covered, 5 coaches, 5.5 coaches now. And every time a new coach comes along, as someone in the media, I've always been, okay, let's get behind this guy. Let's be positive. Here's how it could work football-wise. And then in the end, when it didn't work, we then talked about what didn't work. What didn't work with Bill Callahan? What didn't work with Bo Pelini? What didn't work with Frank Solich? We talked about everything. What didn't work with Mike Riley? And when it comes down to it, what didn't work with Scott Frost is much more than X's and O's. It's much more than just the little things that we talk about why you lose a game by 3 or 7 points, right? It's bigger than that. In these last 2 days, I get all these messages from people who used to work for the university and used to do things for the university who are like, yep, that's exactly what happened. And then they have their own story. All that stuff led to a bad work environment. And that bad work environment is then what leads to those close losses. That's why you don't get through and you win when your back's up against the wall. That's why I said what I said. It was a little bit of a rant. I'll admit I kind of blacked out. I didn't even remember what I said until I watched it back. So that's the only reason. It wasn't about clicks. I didn't get paid for it. Nothing else.
Hey,
that was just me being frustrated.
Hey, Zone, do you want to tell them what you told me yesterday, like in retrospect?
Oh, when I texted you?
Yeah.
When I said I loved you?
No. when you said I mean, you were checking on me, right?
Right. Yeah.
And you said, hey, maybe I went a little too far. I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
it's not like you didn't take self-inventory.
Yeah, I did. Look, when I listened to it
Right?
back, there's some parts of it. Like, I wish I didn't say every single day he was late. But when you get a text from somebody in the program, right, on a consistent basis, complaining about him being late, I said every day. Obviously, I wasn't talking about 10 to 15 times guys were throwing up. I was being hyperbolic with it. Yes, it wasn't every day. But if you're gonna whittle it down to the one or two words that were maybe not correct when a guy is ranting on it, I mean, you're gonna always find something. I just wanted to make sure I checked with you because I want to make sure I didn't go too far.
Yeah.
Because I know what you know. I know a lot of other people know. I checked with other people too. Hey, listen to this. Tell me what you think. Because the last thing I want to do, I have no desire to hurt the program. I cheer for Trev. You know how much I love Mickey.
Yeah.
I was a fan of Mickey. I watched Mickey play in high school. I want to see that man succeed. I would love to see. You know how much of a chill I got thinking about having an African-American coach at the University of Nebraska for the first time. That is a big deal. And people and even Mickey kind of pushed it to the side. It's a huge deal. Only team in the Big Ten that hasn't had at any level of their program a head coach that was African-American. That's ridiculous. So I'm excited for him. I want to see Trev do well. I want to see the university do well. I don't want to hurt anybody. But when we have the conversation about what went wrong, like we do every single time, this is what went wrong. You didn't have someone fully committed that was the highest paid person in the state who had the biggest responsibility for the biggest business in the state. That is a major issue, and I think it needed to be talked about, and that's why I said it. Again, I got no benefit from it at all. Didn't get a dime. Didn't even get a French fry. I got nothing.
Yeah, but you were wearing that just god-awful collection of Saints gear.
Well, I go to sports bar with my buddies. I watch the Saints. I enjoyed the comeback, and I went right over to the other place and did what I did. So, yeah, that's what I had on.
Hey, I appreciate it.
No problem, man.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, Michael.
He did say he loved me. It's kind of weird. I didn't know he had that in him.
Well, this is all real talk. And this Mickey's word he used with the wide receivers is real talk.
Yeah,
you try and ask why.
And listen, man, Husker Strong, he says, Damon, I completely understand what you're saying and the perspective the media gives puts things together as to why Coach Frost was let go. However, there are a lot of us fans that understand what you're saying when you say it, so please don't paint us all in the same picture. Hear my heart. I'm not. I really have general concern and care for 98% of you folks out there. I do. And I know that there's a lot of good. I do. And it helps me daily, right? Where I'm just being 100% honest here. Really tough stretch the last 4 or 5 months. And social media and, the kind words, like understanding what we've kind of put on the line here the last 96 hours. And I'm super appreciative of that. And I'm not slapping everybody's hand. I'm not really slapping anybody's hand. My goal in saying what I said out of the level of frustration of what I said is being better is not a one-way street. Being better is a two-way street. And don't ask anything of a stranger and hold them accountable for anything you're not willing to do yourself. And I guarantee you, if you're mad, you're who I'm talking about. You're who I'm talking about. And I'm not apologizing for that. You don't want to know what I know. I don't want to know what I know. That's when I first started to really vibe with Ba. He's like, you know what? There's some downsides that come to being in the know, especially when you have to come from a place without being to share. And I was like, you know what, Nick? I want to hold your hand from here on out. I brought that up 5 times since he said it. I'll never forget that. because sometimes it can be paralyzing. Think it doesn't matter when they're recruiting my kid? You think it doesn't matter when I see what I see on Saturdays? You think it doesn't matter when I go to Lincoln and there's so many people that I love? Man, the university comes first. So don't act like we're trying to be detrimental, man. The end game is to win. But it's just like discipline. You don't discipline people because you don't care. You discipline because you love people and you don't want to turn them over to themselves. If I didn't care about you, I wouldn't say anything. I tell our players all the time you got to worry is when I don't talk to you. Because when I don't talk to you, I'm done. Not that there's power in that. It's just that means I don't care. Right?
Yeah.
Being better is not a one-way street. Don't ask anything of anyone else that you're not willing to take a little self-examinatory measure in yourself. I mean, are you any better constantly defending and enabling every misstep? No, you're just as detrimental as the cryptic big mouth. Facts. Loving unconditionally does not mean burying your head in the sand. You can still love and want the best for somebody and know that they're not doing right. And I'm not just talking about Coach Frost because I said I'm not getting into the specifics. I don't need a pound of flesh. But damn, man, like the whining over somebody expressing an opinion who really didn't tell many lies. What are we talking about? I guess love is blind.
You can see me. I'm nodding with you. And we're together on this.
Because
Yeah, I mean.
Bro, I don't say, I mean, come on, man. Like, what are we talking about? And this isn't about, here again, not about me. I'm just talking about media as a whole, right? And we try to ask the tough questions. But you got to remember, some of these people are like actual friends, right? And so you have to have this kind of relationship where I can ask Jimmy or Sam, hey, this line of questioning here, or, why Trev and not Coach Frost? Like, you think we're not trying to tell you what we need to know? Sometimes you got to give the devil his due.
Sometimes the person you're asking the question to can't handle the question that's being asked to him.
And that's what I said to Sam yesterday, because I completely agree. You have to know what you're dealing with if you want the type of result. And then you have to ask yourself, is what I know, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is the juice worth the squeeze? And, at the end of the day, you carry a little guilt. Yes, I do, because you care about the program. Well, was the juice worth the squeeze? People think it's all about access. You guys, you got to understand something. The media has survived 5 coaches, and they're going to survive the 6th. They are. I survived Callahan, got to know him. I survived Bo, got to know him really well. I survived Riley, got to know him. I survived Frost, already knew him. And whomever the next guy is, probably going to be the same. Why? Because there's a certain level of accountability and trust. It just is. And it's not because there's ill will. It's because I'm going to try to be true to the product. And I think that's what, if you think Sam or Tom or somebody has an act, Tom could have whacked the whole program a year ago if he wanted to. Just let that settle for a moment. And they're not being disingenuous because they don't. It's because when you cheer for people and things, you want to see them do the best. Right? You ever parented knowing that your kid has a propensity to overeat? Doesn't make you a bad parent, but you let them do it because you love them, right? Oh, man, Timmy's eating the extra Twinkie. No, it's not good for him. You cave to buying candy. We do it all the time because you love people. Don't hold anybody else accountable for what you're not willing to do. You wouldn't have ordered Sarah the cake at freaking dessert. You knew it wasn't good for her. You gave it to her anyway because you love her. Sometimes you want the best for people and you let them learn on their own. It's not everybody's job in the media to fix it. And you don't want to know everything they know. It'd be exhausting. And then you guys would be whining about, oh, it's always negative in the media. Because you can't process through your filter.
All right, coming up, we'll talk to Joey Helmer, who covers Oklahoma in the new Venables era. Also, Scott Shanley stops by, Brandon Vogel as well. This is Sharp and Betting in the Morning, 1620 The Zone.
Previously on Unsportsmanlike Conduct.
Can it make the season again? No. There's still 11 games after that, and they have to take care of business. And it's a team that has not, a program that has not. They were 4-2 in 2019.
Right.
The only loss in conference they had was to Ohio State. They were from the East. But this one, no, they got to start out with a win. You, in a way, want to just get the victory so it shows you proof of concept that what you did in the offseason works.
Unsportsmanlike Conduct with John Bishop and Josh Peterson. Weekdays 2 to 6 on 1620 The Zone.
Ton of great locations, man. 42 degrees. Always one right by your mom's house, right? There's a reason for that. There's just one going up over there off 32nd and Center. I was like, ooh, right? Kind of in the new digs. Wherever it is that your place is to frequent, you're going to get a couple of things. Always clean, always friendly, and super knowledgeable. Knowledge is power, right? It's what do you do with the information? Isn't that something how that works? 42 degrees, a lot of different strengths, a lot of different sample sizes, a ton of different products. Vegan, gluten-free. Well, there's a reason that I call 42 degrees the go-to. It is the place to be for the source. And a ton of sizes, too. I can toss it in the gym bag. For you, it may be the briefcase. Some may be a duffel bag. Maybe you're a backpack guy or gal. Shame on you if you're not carrying school books or a computer. But either way, do yourselves a favor. Stop on in, talk to the staff at 42 degrees and get yourself a free sample. That's all you really need to do. Try it for free. A lot of great locations right by your mom's house. It's 42 degrees.
Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Heating up a bit more Wednesday. Expect mostly sunny skies in the morning with a few more clouds in the afternoon. Breezy south wind gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour with highs around 91. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burden AC Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We're still getting reports of that accident that has the left lane blocked along eastbound I-80 near 60th Street, and that's going to be backed up all the way to I-680, and you can expect delays of up to 10 minutes in that area. Then along Dodge, be prepared for some significant delays from 94th all the way to 84th, and along Center, it looks like you should be prepared for some major slowdowns from 192nd to 175th. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic is brought to you by Lanahaw Nurseries.
Summer is done and fall has begun. It's planting weather, and we have just what you need. Shop the area's largest selection of homegrown plants, trees, home decor, and more. Rooted in quality, unmatched value. Lanahaw Nurseries, 192nd and Center.
At Dingman's Collision Center, you voted them first place in Best in Omaha for the past 17 years. So they want to say thank you for choosing the Dingman family and their incredible technicians to repair your vehicles. At Dingman's, they'd rather be the best than apologize for anything less.
Question 5. Lucas and Carla have 3 homework assignments each. Lucas does his online at home, but Carla has no internet at home. If Carla has to travel 5 miles to find Wi-Fi at a noisy diner or a grocery store parking lot, how can she ever be expected to do well in school?
This is not a problem kids should have to solve. Cox Connect to Compete, providing affordable internet to lower-income students. Available to new residential Cox Internet customers who meet eligibility criteria. Other restrictions apply.
The Zone Inbox is brought to you by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Email me, Connor Happer, with the Connor Happer Show at Connor, CONNOR, at 1620thezone.com. Send me your love, your hate, and maybe a few hot takes. The Zone Inbox, presented by Equitable Bank.
Experience the difference Tyson Foods Council Bluffs case-ready facility can make. They're seeking second shift general laborers starting at $19.25 per hour. They're also seeking industrial maintenance starting at $28.35 per hour with greater earning upon completion of training, as well as industrial refrigeration at $29.65 per hour, also with greater earnings upon completion of training. Now offering a $4,000 referral bonus and $1,000 hiring bonus. Apply on site every Wednesday and Thursday from 9 to noon or call 712-329-4333 for details. Tyson Foods, equal opportunity affirmative action employer, vets and disability.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. I hate the struggle of tough, greasy messes on my stovetop. So I just wipe, and I'm done.
When I'm frustrated with stubborn bathtub soap scum, I just freak, wipe, and I'm done.
Mr. Clean Clean Freak delivers an innovative cleaning experience with a powerful deep cleaning mist that starts working on contact to break down tough messes in seconds.
Just freak,
wipe,
done.
Get ready for the scare of a lifetime, because Madness Haunted House is back once again. Seek the thrills and horror at the new location at Pioneer Trail Orchard. Over 2 acres and 30 minutes of quality screams and fear. Madness Haunted House, the haunt that wouldn't die.
Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is and has always been locally owned and operated. Now, with 160 employee owners, chances are one of us lives in your neighborhood. We take pride in taking care of you, our customers, and keeping you comfortable all year round. And as always, our technicians don't have sales quotas. When other companies send salespeople, Standard sends qualified technicians. It's just part of.
Carrier, turn to the experts. Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ziprecruiter.com/free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Sharp and Benning in the morning on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and the 1620 The Zone app.
That's halftime, but it is still brought to you by Har Cigars, Pipes, and Lounge. Still a great location, man. Plenty to do. A nice cigar, maybe a cocktail. You know, about smoking a pancake. How about that? Har Cigars, Pipes, and Lounge has got you covered,
That's old
man.
school.
Off of the North 48th Street exit in Mormon Bridge Road. Always a good place to stop. Har Cigars, Pipes, and Lounge.
All right, we'll get to Joey tomorrow to talk OU because this is too good, and then we get good dude that calls up the show. We must have, or you must have said something.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I was just excited to hear from him.
Here is the SEAL Commander, Jack Riggins. Hello, Jack.
Oh, Sharpie and DB, thanks for having me on.
What's up, big timer?
Well, first I felt like maybe I needed to call in and give you a fist bump or a hug there. Are you doing okay, DB?
Yeah, I mean, you know, man, it's just heavy. It's heavy. It's a lot, and I think it was just an opportunity to just kind of tell the truth, man. I mean, it's a lot going on, and I think people just want to light switch it and brush it under the rug or bury your head, and that makes it better. Like, just want people to control their own message.
Yeah, without a doubt. I got 3 points here. Sharpie, you mentioned pro market and college market a little bit earlier in the segment. And I think that's what's been interesting from my observation about Nebraska football in particular is there's a lot of people that take it as a pro market. And they want to think like that. And yet it's a college market. And a lot of us have either graduated or we're attached to it clearly.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be real careful with that. In the end of the day, we want to do it right. We want it to be an extension of the student athlete experience. At least that's what I think. And that makes it difficult, I think, for people reporting, you guys, myself included, anybody around the program.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to never forget that it's a college market, it's a college town, it's a college program that just happens to have a very awesome fan base and lots of focus. And I say this every time, and it seems like it's when we fire or move on from any coach. Nebraskans have to be fans, not fanatics. And if you can be a fan and you go there for enjoyment and you support, great. Fanatics take away from programs and they dig too deep in some things. And I don't think that's healthy. I still don't think it's healthy today. It just comes out when we move on from a coach. The other thing DB, and what Michael said, it's a balance. And you said it right. Sometimes you can't handle the truth, and it's difficult putting things out there that you have to, as a radio or TV personality reporter, that are fact-based, but at the same time, you're trying to get the truth out. And you're right. I mean, truth has been out there, but you don't have to walk on people's graves, so to speak. And people make mistakes. And I think Trev Alberts has done a great job over the last year, really strategic messaging, what he wants to see. And so it really shouldn't be a surprise when we got to this point, right?
No.
And so I think that at this point, going back a couple of athletic directors, I have full trust in Trev Alberts. What I see is a great strategic leader. A lot of other reporters have talked about, and I know this is kind of the coin term, this will define his legacy. Listen, when you're in the fire, you don't care about legacy. You care about process. You care about just doing the right thing.
Facts.
And you don't think about those things. Everybody else talks about that. That's BS. That's not how great leaders think. They're working the process. They're trying to figure out. And he said it in this press conference. You make decisions, and you don't know if they're bad until years later, right? So you're in that process. And my point is I trust Trev. And now as Trev has moved forward, my third point, this is Oklahoma week, folks. This is one of the greatest rivalries in college football, if not the greatest rivalry in this state, whether you know it or you don't know it. It is a special week. And having Mickey Joseph at the helm, he kind of reminds me of a Cajun disciplinarian a little bit, but also a player's coach who knows love and accountability. And I'll just leave it with that. I'm excited for the opportunity. I think it's good to have an African-American. That is historical, and we should cherish this time with Coach Joseph and see what he can do, because you can't win by looking at the past. You move forward.
Right.
And today, we got Oklahoma week. We got Coach Joseph, a little different flair. And I wish Scott Frost the best, because he's a sharp guy. He did his best. Nobody wanted it to work out more than him. It just didn't. And that happens sometimes.
Man.
Hey,
fantastic.
Jack, appreciate it as always.
Hey, be well, Jack.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
No, he's right. Sunday was Trev read Scott Frost's obituary without putting a name on it. Then they move forward. Yesterday was another day that they have to move forward. I mean, but the strategic messaging line, I think, is key here, because I don't think it's just a message, because you can't speak it and then not do it. I can't tell you that I'm a good dude and then not be a good dude.
Right.
So that's the follow-up to Trev in the strategic messaging is, if you say those things, then you must demand those things out of yourself and other people when it comes back to a key word that I think is going to permeate for the next 9 football games in Lincoln. And we may see a result because of this little thing across the board that may result in things we go, whoa, accountability. And personal accountability, adult to adult accountability. And Mickey said something, and all the things that he said yesterday that you paused. He started to talk more about player accountability on players.
Yeah.
We talked that for so long. Hey, we're going to get to that point where players are going to hold each other accountable. But the message doesn't follow up with the action. Why was yesterday the first day when I heard him say that I thought it's going to follow up with action? That if guys don't hold each other accountable, they're going to be in the same situation they are now.
Yeah. And I think
is it the person delivering the message? Or is it the time of strife where you're 1 and 2? And it seems like you're either optimistic for Saturday, which I agree there's going to be an extra in the stadium, or you're like, Doom, hey, I'll check back in December when you announce a new head coach.
So I think the 3 things that have derailed this program, especially the last 7 or 8 years, in no particular order, are discipline, details, and emotional toughness, or grit, as I like to say. Those are three things that have held this program back, in particular the last 7 or 8 years. Discipline, details, and grit. You'll be hard-pressed to not be able to interweave those three things. Folks that show grit typically have tremendous discipline, and they know how to manage details. So what you're looking for in leadership has to embody those three things: grit, discipline, and details. And it's in all facets. It's in all facets.
I'm right there with you.
How can I? You want real honesty? You want real authenticity? Do you know why part of me wants, even knowing what I know, you know why I cheer for why I cheered for Coach Frost? And this is different than just because he's at Nebraska. I'm gonna say this out loud. And I've alluded to this before to people like in my super close circle. One of the reasons why I would reach out and I texted him when he was in UCF and I talked about it, and I was able to have conversations on air about what I felt like he was dealing with, is because of the parallels on a much lower level from the 0-27 guy that took the job at Northwest. Wasn't really my dream job. Became popular to say so.
Mm-hmm.
The prodigal son coming home. The ill prepared for year one to take the job. The not having the opportunity to set the foundation of, from a coaching staff standpoint, spending the first year trying to rally morale, hand out flyers, clean up the field, going through a divorce after you just renewed your vows. There were so many things that were so wrong about that first year. Now, I'm not apologizing for being 0-27 because I know what those kids meant. I know the progress we made. I know growing the numbers. I know going to study hall. I know about wearing ties on Thursday. I know about picking up people on the bus. I know about all that other stuff. But there's this part of me that just wanted to warn him. If you're not all in on what's going to come with this job, don't do it. Now, year 2 and 3 for me were much better, but then you get into leadership and all that other stuff, which is neither here nor there about that job. But in that moment, regardless of what anybody said I felt about past relationships and transgressions and whatever else the heck happened in Lincoln that wasn't even a factor in what I was thinking, I just felt like I could empathize with what he was getting ready to embark on, which is why I harped on. If you have some foibles, if you have some things about your personality that are not going to lend itself to this environment of the pressure that comes with what's going on, you have two options. Don't do it, or surround yourself with people that will give you the best opportunity to accentuate your strengths and diminish your weaknesses. That's just full disclosure. My heart broke for him. And it's not because I don't like him or dislike him any more than anybody else. My heart broke for him because I know the magnitude of trying to function in that moment. I just do. And I know the importance of leadership and support and what comes with that. And I don't make any excuses for trying to get through that first year because I simply wasn't ready. Not an indictment or a reflection of my coaching prowess, although critics will say it is, but playing an X amount of state championships and kids that continue to come back and all that other stuff speaks for itself. But that was the connection I thought we could share no matter how little we had talked in those years. It was just to be other-centered in the moment and say, hey, man, I'm just telling you. And going back and forth in that 11th and a half hour and whether he was going to move or not, and was he really ready for this? I said it yesterday. I'm going to say it again. In my heart of hearts, I don't believe he was ill-willed. I think he was ill-prepared. And the rest is history. Everything else got magnified. And it's human nature to compare what Trev said to what we saw the last 5 years, to what Mickey said yesterday, to what we're seeing, what we've seen in the past 4.5 years. Free yourself of that. Free yourself of the compare and contrast. Move forward, stay in the moment. As a fan base, as a player, as a coach. He said it best, you can't go back and get that. The biggest thing that you got to do is move forward and understand where you've been so you don't feel like that again. And you make the necessary changes on the fly to move forward to better the program as a whole. It wasn't lip service when he said the program is bigger than me. Don't be so weak-minded to where you say, oh, man, Coach Frost thought the program was bigger. It's not about him. It's not about him. Stay in the moment. That message is for the players. And he's not going to ask them to do anything that he's not willing to do himself. So free yourself of the compare and contrast and move forward. There's power in it. There's healthy mindsets in it. You can't fight battles that are already over. That one is over. New challenge, new armor, new shield, new leadership. Step forward. That's it.
A new season is underway for Creighton men's and women's soccer and women's volleyball, which means we need you in the stands. Don't miss any of the action this season as your Creighton Blue Jays compete for a Big East title. Affordable tickets for the whole family start as low as $7. Get your tickets online at gocreighton.com/tickets and cheer on the Blue Jays all season long. That's gocreighton.com/tickets.
Hey, find your next truck at Woodhouse Buick GMC. No matter where you're heading or what tasks you need tackling for business or pleasure, premium, capable GMC truck can fit the bill like the Sierra 1500. Hey, make a statement when you pick up the kids at school or you pull onto the construction lot in the Sierra 1500, which gives you advanced technology in the middle, power in the front, power in the back, robust powertrain, something you want. Plus, it rides smooth. You work hard, you play hard, you want to go bigger and beyond. You can do that in a Sierra 1500, which you can set up a test drive right now online at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com, where you can begin your car buying journey, or you can do it in person. 119th and I. They have a full lineup of trucks, new and pre-owned, that is going to meet your needs if you are in the truck buying business. Check them out today, 119th and I. That's Woodhouse Buick GMC, or online at WoodhouseBuickGMC.com. We are professional grade.
The best way to catch all the action is on 1620 The Zone. And no line for the bathroom.
Hi guys, it's Andrew. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction? Did you know that a major medical breakthrough has just arrived? Today, Wednesday, September 14th, we're running a one-day special you won't want to miss out on. Brookside Medical Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. It's backed by 60 clinical studies, including from Cambridge. If you're ready to regain that spark in the bedroom, today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also a gift that can produce powerful results in the bedroom in minutes. That's worth the trip alone, guys, trust me. And today only, we're offering 6 tune-up treatments to our patients free, worth $1,000. Call today and it's all no charge. 402-671-7777. That's 402-671-7777. Guys, put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Brookside Medical Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 402-671-7777.
Today on Hey Culligan, soft water, cleaner environment. What do you say, Greg?
Hey Culligan,
Are you saying if I have a Culligan high-efficiency water softener, I'm also helping the environment?
It sounds like you're saying it, Greg, and yes, you are, because with the Culligan high-efficiency water softener, you'll use less detergent, soap, and harsh chemicals, and that's good for the planet.
Now you're saying it.
You bet I am, Greg. Soft water and a cleaner environment is already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test from a local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you have to drive 300 miles to your cousin's wedding. Okay, so it's his fourth. But you know what they say, fourth time's the charm. Well, here's the problem. Your tires are as bald as I am. But lucky for you, eBay Motors has tires for just about every make and model. Plus wheels, lug nuts, jack stands, and more. 122 million parts. Do they have tissues? Oh, good, because I'm definitely a crier. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is and has always been locally owned and operated. Now, with 160 employee owners, chances are one of us lives in your neighborhood. We take pride in taking care of you, our customers, and keeping you comfortable all year round. And as always, our technicians don't have sales quotas. When other companies send salespeople, Standard sends qualified technicians. It's just part of.
Carrier, turn to the experts.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're speaking another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
3 weeks. It's incredible. After 3 weeks, I'm on vacation in Paris, having a conversation in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
The best part of your summer night is listening to Royals baseball on 1620 The Zone.
Sharp and betting in the morning on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and the 1620 The Zone app.
All right, wrapping up the hour. We got Joey and Joe in just a moment. He has moved up on my list. I've always been a big admirer, and he was one of the guys who yesterday denied interest in the Nebraska job. Jim Leonard is impressive. Jim Leonard, there's a reason why his defense is top 10 for the last 5 years.
For sure.
There's a lot to like about him.
Every bit of that, too,
Yeah.
you heard.
Young guy, 39 years old. So put him on the board. Yes. Here is Bellevue West Joey. Hello, Joey.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How you guys doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right. This is Bellevue West Joey, so just so.
B-Dub. What's up, buddy?
Hey, first off, I think, Damon, I might be a bad luck charm for your kid, man. Every time I go to a game, he gets hurt. So.
Might just be him, man. He's not, he lacks toughness like his dad. I don't know.
But, hey, just to touch on what you guys are talking about with Michael, the thing that came on Twitter from Michael Severe the other day. I know for me personally, I've heard a lot of the stuff that Michael was saying for the last few years, and I'm one of those people. I don't know if it's right or wrong, and if I'm not processing it right myself, but I kind of would hear it and just kind of put it in the back of my mind, because I was just like, I always get real nervous when rumors about someone's personal life start becoming public, but you never really know how much of that stuff is true and how many people are just talking to be pissed off, But when I heard it yesterday, and you kind of go back and think about like some of the losses and the lack of attention to detail sometimes in crucial moments, it kind of makes you revisit it a little bit. And, you don't want to bury Frost or anything like that, because, a lot of us, like myself, wanted to see it work. But, it just kind of makes sense. So I know for me, when I heard it, it didn't make me hate the media. It did kind of make me wish some of it was out there sooner. But, overall, I get what you're saying, and even the other caller. I noticed for me, like, it kind of gives me a better idea of what was going on now. And once I heard it, I think it's just time for all of us to move on. I mean, that's kind of how I was. And then just kind of tying that in with what I heard yesterday from Mickey Joseph, I mean, it made me think back to what Trev was saying on Sunday. And I was like, I mean, I think, in my opinion, it's kind of sound like, Mickey kind of fit that mold, now we got to see what happens on the field. But, I mean, I kind of think, Nebraska as a whole just needs to get out of its own way going forward. And I think, a fresh start was necessary, and I think that will push us in the right direction. And just listening to Mickey yesterday, that really got me more excited because, and I kind of think there won't be that lack of attention to detail anymore. I kind of think there will be some accountability. And, just kind of to your point, what you had just said a little while ago about just probably being a little ill-prepared, I think maybe Mickey might be a little more prepared. I don't know. I mean, just again, going back to some of the stuff that had kind of been out there about Frost since he got here. So I don't know, man. I mean, I think for me, just hearing it, it's not going to, none of this stuff really moved my needle too much. I just think it's time to move on and kind of move forward and kind of see what Mickey can do. So that's kind of how I feel about it. I don't know, what you guys' thoughts are, but.
No, hey, Joey, thanks. I mean, he's right. If we just entailed everything that this kind of a job demands, be a grinder, check the ego, show up to work every day. Yeah, Mickey is definitely prepared for that.
Yeah, there's no question.
I mean, look at the steps before you even got to LSU.
Baby steps, right?
All right, final call of the hour. We got Scott Chanley and Brandon Vogel in the next hour. Here is Joe. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, fellas. How you guys doing?
Good, Joe.
The last couple callers basically touched on what I was thinking, fan or fanatic, and the fanatics taken away from the programs. And I'm guilty of it too. Sometimes I forget that, maybe the majority of people out there are fans and not fanatics that, sort of take away from the program or sort of chip away at the program for their own self-serving sort of needs, if you will. There's way too many Husker fans that sort of want to seem like they're in the know, or they got somebody that gives them inside information. And I've got no problem with being transparent as long as there's facts and there's, credibility to it. And in fact, I like that transparency. If this is the case, if this is true, that this is what was really going on, I got no problem saying it now, tomorrow, or whenever. I feel like, okay, that, it sort of gives us like, well, okay, it makes more sense. It's transparency normally in life is a good thing. But, it kind of trails around to accountability. And I was kind of wondering, I hate to single one guy out because, Cam Jurgens got singled out, a year ago and people wanted his job. But Bryce Benhart, I don't know what they do when they watch film with this guy. But there's times I watch him and he whiffs, he misses. So I was kind of wondering, do you think you guys foresee, a starting lineup sort of, a change in the offensive line or any changes in the starting lineup?
Joe, thanks. Maybe a tweak here or there, but you don't have a lot of depth. You don't have a lot of hey, that guy's going to step up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, offensive line, like Kevin Williams needs to play more. That left tackle, is Teddy going to play much this weekend against Oklahoma? How's the wheel from the injury against Georgia Southern? What happens on the right side?
I just don't know enough to say anything, especially when it comes to the offensive line. I just don't have. I don't know what's what.
Lutovsky has played a little bit more.
I wonder. Teddy's availability. Haven't said a ton.
Mm-hmm.
And who's next if he can't go. So, I mean, stuff like that is. I just have to see it more on the regular.
All right, Scott Chanley's coming up next.
Okay, everyone gather around. I have some exciting.
Running her shoe factory, Kendra talks the talk and walks the walk.
We're switching to green energy.
She needs a biotech consultant to erase her carbon footprint.
All operations will net zero emissions.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
There are big football games. There are big concerts. They are coming here in the next month and into the fall. You want to be in the front row or in the building or in the stadium, then check out my friends at Tickets for Less. Ticketsforless.com. You'll find the best selection of tickets to all your favorite events and even more, all at the lowest prices. And this is the best part of Tickets for Less. Dealing with them is there is no per-ticket service fees. Yep, you heard me right. You find other places, you get to check out, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's a crazy fee. That's a markup. Nada at Tickets for Less. Now, from the Huskers to the Chiefs to the top concerts and shows, ticketsforless.com has you taken care of. It is your best source for tickets and, most importantly, top-notch customer service, because you'll have questions, and Tickets for Less, they can take care of you. Other sites, they're going to show you a lower price to start. But remember, once you get to checkout, but not at Tickets for Less. Shop now and save at ticketsforless.com.
Live from the Host Coffee Studio, this is 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone. Traffic.
From the Burden AC, Heating, Plumbing, and More Time-Saving Traffic Center. We have no accidents to report at this time, but you can expect some major slowdown from 192nd to 183rd along Center. Then along westbound I-680, be prepared for some significant slowdown near Center Street. And on Dodge, be prepared for some major delays from 94th to 87. As always, remember to stay safe and wear your seatbelts. I'm Chris Scott. This time-saving traffic was brought to you by Fernando's.
Come on, when was the last time you had your Fernando's fix? It doesn't get any better than lunch, dinner, carry out, even catering from Fernando's. Get your Fernando's fix. 114th and Dodge, 75th and Pacific, and FernandosOmaha.com.
Shingles add beauty, protection, and value to your home. You want CertainTeed shingles. Carp's Complete Home Exteriors is a certified CertainTeed shingle master. When it comes to your roof, CertainTeed Shingles and Carps have you covered. Online at carpsomaha.com.
There are actually two kinds of cigars. The first is the one you smoke with beloved family and friends. The second, the one you enjoy with friends you've just met. And you'll find both at Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge. At Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, there's a well-stocked humidor with some of the best bands from around the world and a bar with your favorite cocktails and other drinkables. So what do you say? Which cigar will you be enjoying tonight? Hearth Cigars and Pipes Lounge, just off I-680 and 48th Street next to Cubby's.
Psst, come here. I got a secret weapon that'll make your family happy. Real happy. It's my new caramel toffee cookie combo. My big chocolate chip cookie covered with caramel and toffee bits. Add any medium specialty pizza piled high with the best toppings and loads of mozzarella on top. Plus any medium one-topping pizza. Caramel toffee cookie combo. Order now. Godfather's Pizza. Do it.
Dust. It's in the living room, the bedroom, and the bathroom. It's also in your lungs. Let's fix that, shall we? Duct Defense Midwest offers a comprehensive system that cleans, disinfects, filters, and purifies the air. They'll make your home healthier and improve the life of your HVAC system. So improve the health of your home and everyone in it. Go to cleanairradio.com right now for a special air duct cleaning offer for Zone listeners. Cleanairradio.com.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. Sharp and Benning in the morning on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and the 1620 The Zone app. Here are Gary Sharp and Damon Benning.
Well, you know, I played in the Big 8 where we had to face them. We had to face them every year, and it was always a big game. You know, I have friends over there, you know, and they're excited. But it means a lot. It means a lot to see OU come in here because, you know, when they went to the Big 12, it kind of, kind of split it a little bit. But it's an exciting time. It just brings back old memories.
Mickey Joseph yesterday, as we welcome in Husker Super Bowl champion Scott Shanley, joining us now. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Hey, well, it's now Wednesday. Usually we have you on Monday, but we're moving to this time slot on Wednesdays. Your thoughts on the last couple of days here in Lincoln, because you also, I should add for people, you know Mickey a little bit when he was at LSU.
Yeah, I was one of the guys this offseason when, obviously LSU had a coaching change. Brian Kelly came in. So Brian Kelly brought in his whole staff, and I knew that Trev had asked Scott to change his offensive staff. I was one of the guys on the table, pounding the table that Mickey Joseph would have been a fantastic hire for Nebraska. Not only what he brings as a man, as a football coach, what he does in recruiting. There's many things to like about Mickey Joseph. And I talked to some Nebraska coaches over the summer, and one of them said, man, Mickey Joseph is a stud. Like, this is an assistant coach on the staff who was so blown away by Mickey in the meetings. And I felt like he could bring a lot to Nebraska. Now we're really going to get to see how much he can bring to Nebraska. And I'm gonna be honest. I hope everything works out, because I think Mickey Joseph can be a damn good head football coach. And I love the fact he's a former Husker, just like Scott was. But anybody who didn't see or did see that press conference Mickey held yesterday, I think got a really good look at what he brings to the table. I mean, there's coaches that, as a former player, I sit there and watch and I say, man, I'd love to play for that guy, or I wouldn't love to play for that guy. After that press conference that Mickey had yesterday, I would love to play for Mickey Joseph. And I'm hoping for nothing but the best for him in the program.
Hey, Scott, of all the levels you've had success playing, does authenticity ever fail a coach?
Never.
Isn't that something?
It is. And you know what, Damon, I think, as a former player, guys can sniff it out so fast. Guys know whether a coach who's standing in front of them talking is being authentic or not, being real or not. You know who's being fake. You know who's trying to, they're going home and watching themselves give speeches in the mirror or looking up Vince Lombardi speeches. You know guys who are being fake versus guys who are being real. And that's the one thing, watching that press conference, I only intended to watch a little bit, and there I'm sitting there, I watched the whole thing. I couldn't take myself away from watching Mickey Joseph answer questions, and I think this team is going to rally around him.
What do you there's always that first game bump that you get with a new voice and guys that maybe they see this as their opportunity. What do you honestly expect to be the bump for Nebraska moving forward? Because it's not, end of the year, it's November, we got a couple of more games, you can see the finish line. That finish line still for Nebraska, Scott, is a long way away. They got 9 more games to go. So what impact do you think we will see initially that is more than just Oklahoma is here? It's a big game, sold out on national TV. It will see a bump that carries to next month and maybe on into November.
Yeah, I think for us as Nebraska fans, and certainly university, I think this is a really hard game to judge Mickey Joseph on in terms of what he's going to bring to the table. Oklahoma's a great program. They've been, for the past 20 years, they've been one of the top programs, and even longer than that, but they've been a winning program. So I think this is a really hard game to judge as far as what Mickey's going to bring to the table. But I just think, listening to him speak, he's already reassigning some of the things on defense, how they're going to coach the secondary. He's already talking about a little things schematically here or there. He's already talking about the way they change practice habits. There's a lot that I think he's going to put his stamp on. And so, maybe not this week so much. I would love to beat Oklahoma. Chance of that happening, I don't know. I mean, anybody can be beat. But I think weeks 2, 3, and 4 after this Oklahoma game, we're going to get a good idea as far as what having Mickey Joseph in front of this team has changed.
Scott, let me jump over to the NFL, and I want to start right there with your Saints as they get a squeaker over the much-hated Falcons. How much were you convinced in just only week 1 that this team is who you thought they were if they get consistent quarterback play?
Honestly, not a whole lot. I say in the NFL, I have to wait till week 3 or 4 to find out what a team is. I mean, a year ago, the Saints beat the Packers 38-3 in the opening week, and everybody in Saints Nation thought that the Saints were going to win their second Super Bowl. So I think I was impressed from this aspect. The way they looked quarters 1 through 3 was abysmal. Did not look good. Defensively looked soft. They were getting beat at the line of scrimmage. Fourth quarter, they had to get in a 2-minute mode, and it allowed Jameis Winston to come out in a 2-minute offense, and he was slinging it. And he looked really good. And I think going forward now, maybe they open the offense a little bit more. Maybe they trust Jameis more, because He threw for 200 some yards, I think, in the fourth quarter alone. He looked really good. The defense started to come alive. And when you can win games like they won, down 16 in the NFL, I think it says a lot about the character of your team. And I think that's what I took away from week one more than anything, is this team has championship character, and that's a great sign.
So let's stay there because it's Tampa Bay and New Orleans. And in the regular season, Dennis Allen and the Saints, and Dennis Allen, formerly defensive coordinator, Brady is 0-4 against the Saints. And it seems like he's pressured more against that defense than any other defense that he goes against. Why has New Orleans been so successful against the Buccaneers in the last 2 years?
It's as simple as personnel. The Saints have the personnel that they can match up against the Tampa Bay offense in a way that not a lot of other teams can. So Dennis Allen brings a lot of pressure a lot of times, but against Tampa Bay, the recipe for success has been they've been able to rush four. Those guys rushing four have won a lot of one-on-one battles. They give the Tampa Bay linemen nightmares. So when you're rushing four, you have 7 guys back in coverage. They're playing a lot of two-man, safety help over the top, playing underneath routes. And that has been Tom Brady's kryptonite when it comes to the Saints. If the Saints can continue to do that, I think they can get another win this week. But that's why when everybody looks at the win-loss record and how do the Saints have so much success against the Buccaneers, it's really because they can rush four and they have good enough guys in the back end to play man-to-man. And that's been trouble for Tom Brady.
When you're taking a look at some other quarterbacks around the league, I know you're a Herbert guy, and he's got a great matchup against Mahomes in Kansas City. Knowing what you know today, would you still take Mahomes over Herbert just because of the fact he's proven, or do you like the ascension of the talent so far that you see in Justin?
Yeah, certainly. You can't go wrong with either one, really. I mean, if you're a GM starting a franchise and somebody you have to pick the leftover out of those two, you're going to be sitting pretty good. I mean, even throw Josh Allen, there are so many really good young quarterbacks in the league, and it's great for the future of the league. But I still think I'm going with Mahomes. He's won a championship, and there's just something about him. There's a moxie to him. I think that guys gravitate towards, that guys believe in that little bit of extra chip he has on his shoulder, the swagger he has. So I think that's the reason I would go with Mahomes. He's done it. He's already done it. He's had a lot of success, and just that kind of that moxie that he has around him.
Scott Shanley joining us here on Sharp and Betting in the Morning. Thoughts, and maybe it's way too early to have a takeaway because they played in a gigantic mud puddle. But how would you assess Trey Lance after his first start?
Yeah, it's a tough game to judge him on. I mean, I wasn't the biggest Trey Lance fan coming out. I mean, he's got all the measurables, and I thought going to Kyle Shanahan would be a great fit for him as far as the way Kyle can design plays. He did it with RG3 until he got hurt in Washington. My concern with Trey Lance was always he didn't play enough football for me in college. And I don't know, maybe he'll end up being a Hall of Famer. It doesn't mean he's not going to be a great NFL player. I just think the jury's still out on him. He hasn't played enough football, and then you throw him into week one in a monsoon, it's really hard to judge. He's another guy. I think you got to give him 2, 3, 4 games, and then you kind of have an idea what his upside is.
Hey, Scott, let me ask you something. You know, Burrow in 2020, I think he was 13-5 TDs to INTs. He threw 14 last year. He threw 4 on Sunday. When you're playing defense with a quarterback like Burrow, who you know is a winner, is there a line you draw at taking care of the football, or is it simply in Joe you trust?
Yeah, I think because of what he's been able to do, and, you know, guys in the NFL locker room really don't care what you do in college, but what he was able to do at LSU, and then he comes to the Bengals, takes them to a Super Bowl. There's not anybody in that locker room that's saying, man, we need to dial it back. Joe's throwing the ball too much. He's being careless with the ball. Now, if this is week 5 or 6 and he's throwing 3 or 4 picks a week, people will start to murmur inside that locker room because it's hard to win games. The fact that they were even in that game and probably should have won that game with all those turnovers is incredible, because the odds say you should lose like 99.9% NFL games when you turn the ball over that many times. So it says a lot about the rest of the team. They just can't do that every week. Joe didn't play in the preseason. He had surgery recently, right before the season started, for get his appendix and taken care of. And it's just one of those things where guys are not playing enough in the preseason. It's really hard to judge. They have to get back up to game speed. Really, that's what it looked like. His game speed and the clock in his head was just way off in that first half.
How difficult is it for coaches in their first game in the NFL? It's ironically, first-year coaches had some good success on the opening weekend, but not so good on Monday night. What do you think are the biggest challenges for the first time that you're in charge and they're keeping score on the scoreboard?
Well, I think the reason some of these guys have success early on is because teams don't quite know how to scout you. They don't know how to watch a ton of tape. They can go back and watch when you were a coordinator and get an idea, but it's hard until you get into it a little bit to find out what the idea of a team is and what that coach is going to do. I just think teams kind of tell who they are after a month of the season, and that's really my answer to a lot of things. Is there's always things that you can overreact on early in the season when it comes to a player or a coach, but I think there's teams like the Giants who have not won very much the past few years. Going to Tennessee, getting Saquon Barkley to look like the best back in the league versus Derrick Henry and that Titans defense, I think that was one of the more impressive wins over the weekend. Daniel Jones is going to have to be a better quarterback for them to do that consistently. But there's a lot of new head coaches that I think brought new life and new energy to their team.
Yeah, division titles have been hard to come by for the Colts, and they kind of had a head scratcher in the opener. Are the Colts one of those teams you and I talked about a couple of months ago that you get the feel that they just are a franchise that isn't going to get over the hump anytime soon, or is it still a little too soon?
I do kind of feel like that. Kind of my answer is yes to both. Matt Ryan has played a lot of football and won a lot. He's never won big games. I think that Colts roster is very talented. Quentin Nelson just signed the biggest contract for lineman in NFL history. He's a really good player. They have good talent, but the one thing I do like about the Colts is they play in the AFC South. Unless the Jaguars really emerge, I think they're going to be better. I think the Texans are definitely better. The Titans are obviously a good team, but the AFC South has kind of been weak the past few years. I think that gives them a chance, but I think they're a talented roster. They just need to get everybody back on the field. Leonard, their middle linebacker, didn't play last week. He's one of the best players in the NFL. You have to have those type of guys on the field to win in this league.
Hey, you live in the Metroplex. I'm sure that Sports Talk Radio in Dallas is being kind to the Cowboys, right?
Oh yeah, the season's over. They should have traded for this guy or that guy, and there's debates everywhere, and I can't take it because already they're trying to put Mike McCarthy's house on some listing, get him out of town. They all think that Sean Payton's going to be here next week saving their team. I'm not even sure Sean Payton could save this offense. He's going to have a lot of different choices. I don't know, besides Jerry just opening a checkbook, if this would be his first choice. Dak, listen, I think Dak is good for their locker room. I don't know where I rank him. We've had this debate all the time about where do you rank Dak Prescott as a quarterback in the NFL. Before he got hurt, he wasn't looking very good. So I don't know if they have all their answers, all their things answered as far as roster and personnel on this team.
What was your sentiment on Minnesota preseason versus what you saw on Sunday?
Yeah, I didn't know much about Minnesota as far as going into the season. I love their offensive scheme for the players they have. You have Jefferson, obviously one of the best receivers in the league. I think when Kirk Cousins gets hot, he's right there, top 10 quarterback. He can put up the numbers when he's hot. He's very streaky though. Dalvin Cook is a heck of a player. Thielen. They have all the players on the offensive side of the ball to be weapons. My uncertainty about that team was defensively, and defensively they look really good. Mm-hmm. Just like we talked about new coaches bringing life into the organization, you can see that in terms of what the Minnesota Vikings did this last weekend.
Scott, as always, we appreciate it. Thank you. We look forward to talking on Wednesdays from here on out.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we're talking about a Husker upset. What a great way to start the Mickey Joseph era.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it,
Scott. Los Angeles,
why not, huh?
The Chargers and the Chiefs tomorrow night. You have Cincinnati and Dallas. That all of a sudden becomes an intriguing game. One team's going to be 0-2. And then doubleheader Monday night, Tennessee at Buffalo. I'm sure that the Mafia will be out for the home opener for the Bills on Monday Night Football. And then the Vikings and the Eagles, which is the better game on ABC.
It's going to be a good one.
So ESPN gets the Bills and the Titans, and ABC on Monday gets the Vikes and the Eagles. Kevin O'Connell, who not a lot of people knew about, and they went really, really quiet in the offseason and training camp. He may have uncorked his quarterback, but most importantly, his wide receiver named Justin Jefferson.
Since his rookie year, right? Because, I mean, he did break onto the scene. That's a good football team. Hopefully we look smarter here in about 13, 14 weeks.
I think you went Vikings. I went Packers.
Yeah. But You did like the Vikings as your
Yeah.
team that could come from off the radar.
And I like Jefferson as the offensive rookie of the year.
And I liked how you put them in the playoffs.
Yes. And Aaron Rodgers and his wide receivers. I wonder how they're doing this week. They getting along? Gonna have to have some patience. It's gonna be a long not a long year in Green Bay, but just a year with patience.
Who's more popular right now in Green Bay, Rodgers or Favre?
Ooh. Not a good day yesterday for Brett Favre.
Wowzer.
Holy moly. Yeah.
Oh, wowzer.
And that kind of flew under the radar a little bit.
A little.
Yeah. But now today it's starting. It's like the news cycle is on to the next thing. And now Brett Favre has entered the stage. All right, 9:25. Brandon Vogel, before
My man said, is there any way the public is going to find out?
That Copperfit ain't going to help him this time. He had a rough year. I mean, there have been a lot of allegations and stuff about Brett Favre.
Yeah.
And now this big one that came out yesterday. All right, Brandon Vogel from Hail Varsity here in about 20 minutes on Sharp Betting in the Morning at 1620 The Zone.
Your Omaha area forecast from the Godfather's Pizza Weather Center and KETV News Watch 7 on 1620 The Zone.
Find your next certified pre-owned vehicle at Woodhouse Ford of Omaha today. Woodhouse Ford. That's the Ford Blue Advantage program that you can take advantage of. That is over 100 certified pre-owned vehicles on the lot that are ready to test drive and take home. The Ford Blue Advantage program allows for a peace of mind while shopping a pretty select and extensive inventory in store. You can visit them online at WoodhouseFordOmaha.com as well. The program is packed with additional benefits for you and your new vehicle. And with those vehicles, the multi-point inspection they have to test, they can't even get in the program without it. You can receive comprehensive limited warranty, money-back guarantees, and 24/7 roadside assistance. Plus, take advantage of exclusive interest rates through the program. So stop on out. It's 3633 North 72nd Street and shop the lot full of vehicles, or again, online anytime at WoodhouseFordOmaha.com. The Ford Blue Advantage at Woodhouse, that's used car buying that's built for you.
Heating up a bit more Wednesday. Expect mostly sunny skies in the morning with a few more clouds in the afternoon. Breezy south wind gusting 20 to 25 miles per hour with highs around 91. I'm meteorologist Sean Everson from KETV News Watch 7.
Dingman's Collision Center, Omaha's top choice. For over 20 years, your safety is our number one priority. Sunday morning is all about church, eggs, and the Sunday paper. But right next to church, it's made for hot takes and reactions. Severe Reactions. Michael Severe is back on 1620 The Zone with Severe Reaction. Sundays 8 to 10 and doesn't hold back on what went right and what went wrong on Saturday. He'll also take calls from the most important voice of all, yours. Severe Reaction. Sundays from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Only on 1620 The Zone.
Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill has been making your game day experience one to remember for 18 years with our award-winning char-buffed wings and $7.99 Monday through Friday lunch specials. But now your game day just got bigger and better with Oscar's newly upgraded audio-video system. Cheer on your favorite teams this season in front of a 22-foot LED video wall, showing up to 8 games at once, and of course, 40 TVs and massive dual projectors. Oscar's Pizza and Sports Grill, 173rd and West Center Road, and for takeout at 162nd and Maple.
With gas prices surging to over $4 a gallon, high wage costs, and an annual inflation rate of 9%, now more than ever, it's critical for small businesses to save on health insurance. Hi, I'm Mark Schlange, owner of Marketplace Nebraska, and I can help. Stop wasting money on health insurance. I recently helped a small business save over $60,000 in premiums. If you own a small business and are struggling with inflation, let's talk to save money. Visit marketplacenebraska.com. That's marketplacenebraska.com.
Let me get you up to speed on the service that you need. Katie was recently told by a competitor that her transmission needed to be replaced. She thought the cost seemed a little too high, so she called us. We towed it from that shop and verified the transmission was in fact bad. We did the job and saved her over $1,500. Sometimes a second opinion can save you a lot of money. Don't overpay. Call Omaha Transmission.
Shifting to running smooth.
Can't wait for Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard's September 23rd fall opening? Well then, come to the Cider and Sunflower Festival, September 16th, 17th, and 18th. Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard is open 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday, with fireworks on Friday, and Sundays till 9 p.m. Season passes will be accepted during this festival weekend, and you can purchase individual tickets online and at the gate. So come on out at Vallis Pumpkin Patch and Apple Orchard, Gretna, Nebraska.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction. Presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and more. Join the show immediately after the game and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction on 101.9 The Keg and 1620 The Zone.
Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. EquitableOnline.com.
Make it a great fall season. Head to KuglerVision.com today to request a consultation.
Sharpen betting in the morning on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and the 1620 The Zone app.
Sharp betting in the morning, 1620 The Zone. The app, wherever you can get us. Coming up here in just a little bit, Brandon Vogel will join us. Brent Venables made a comment yesterday about Oklahoma staying an hour away. People thought they might be like in Nebraska City, staying at Arbor Lodge. They are.
They got room for them.
They do, but they're staying. They're staying here in Omaha. They're out the Regency.
That makes sense.
So I know. I'm wondering how that works. If there's a couple of hotels in Lincoln, like the Graduate has become a popular place. That's where Georgia Southern stayed. Other visiting teams stay right down there, right in the heart of downtown Lincoln. Others will stay out on 27th Street where they have a lot of room, and then they just, get the police escort in. I wonder how that works, like for Oklahoma to stay in Omaha. Does the plane fly into Lincoln and then they bus to Omaha so that after the game, they just go from Memorial Stadium to the Lincoln Airport, which is now, I guess, the official airport of the Huskers, and they get on the plane and they take off? Or does the plane fly into Omaha and then the plane flies to Lincoln on Saturday so it's ready for them to pick up?
I would assume it would be the latter.
Yeah.
Because you want to leave from Lincoln, right? You don't want to.
No, you don't want to. Well, look at that traffic. Can you imagine trying to bus back to Omaha after the game?
I don't even know. Like, would an escort work? You just have to block it off ahead of time.
Well, you'd have to drive on the shoulder.
Yeah, because there's no way cars are going to be able to get out of the way.
Yeah, and especially they know it's a visiting team. They're not getting out of the way.
I'm thinking that's what it is. They'll fly into Omaha and then they'll fly out of Lincoln.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, that makes sense.
That logistically, I know if I was a player, that would be awesome.
But it's always, if you're ever on the road when the visiting team that stays in Omaha, because they've also stayed out that Embassy Suites on Sarpy County.
Yeah.
So you just hop right there on 80 and you take off. They do get going at a high rate of speed
So that
with a police
Regency
escort
must be the place to be. Because I remember when
at Marriott.
Yeah, when Baylor came, this is a long time ago.
Yeah.
This is T. Fraze and Baylor. Like, they stayed there. We went to go see his buddy Brick, who was coaching at Baylor. And It was out at the Regency. That I don't know if people ask around or
you have a deal with Marriott's.
Yeah.
And you need a lot of room.
Because that was a long, long time ago.
Yeah, and still happening. I think that's where OU is staying. So
if it were me, I would probably prefer to stay in Omaha, just because I would like the drive down, especially as long as I had an escort, would give me a chance to get my mind.
I'm surprised that people stay right in the heart of downtown Lincoln.
Yeah, I would.
Where you don't need the 3-block police escort with your 4 buses. You could walk to the stadium, actually.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of teams that like staying right there at that Graduate. You got all the people that are in town. Because I remember Urban Meyer saying they stayed out on North 27th because they could get the Ho Hotel. Like the Ho Hotel could be Ohio State.
Right.
And they wouldn't have to worry about fans, and they could just take over and any kind of distractions like that. We're going to get back into Husker football, Brandon Vogel, in a moment. I have to bring this up because it happened last night. And I think we're jaded. This is a baseball thing.
Fans? Baseball?
Yeah. Shouldn't Aaron Judge, now at 57, be a bigger national story? In New York, it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like the Yankees have kind of quieted things for a bit. He's at 57 home runs, and we're closing in on the debate. Will that be the record? Because we're not in the steroid era. At least we don't think we are. I just think that should be more of a national story. And we might be so jaded from that era that when somebody is chasing a home run mark like that, and he's got 20 more home runs than the closest person in baseball. Schwarber's got 37. Judge has 57. But nationally, it is just, if you're not in New York and you're not a Yankee fan, people aren't talking about it, which just seems odd to me. But it's maybe the product of the steroid era where the home run just is, You know what? Hey, Judge is on pace to hit 64.
Tell you what, you know what I think it is? We pencil him in as doing that because it's the bigger story was, could Trout hit 8 in a row?
Yeah. And
we kind of just pencil Judge and he's hit another bomb. And I mean, it's kind of the Yankees, so some things are just assumed. It's weird, man, and it's kind of scary. Where some of these feats that these guys are doing have kind of happened in some shape or form that we're kind of not appreciative, man. Like, he's going to put up a monster number, and we act like folks just rolled out of the rack and
that's why
that
I'm
off.
glad you brought up the Trout one. So yesterday in Cleveland, it got snapped, but he'd hit a home run in 7 straight games. And the record was 8.
Yeah. After not feeling very good.
I posed this question to you a couple of days ago. It is the last day of the regular season. There's nothing on the line, either team. Albert Pujols is sitting at 699. This is it for him. He's retiring. Do you groove a pitch to help him get to 700? Or do you not want to be a part of history? He's now 4th, and he's close to getting 700, which has come out of nowhere. In the last 4 or 5 weeks, he's gone on a home run spree. Damn it, the Cardinals are going to be in the postseason again.
They're good, man.
I know they're good. I don't want to admit that, but I just
talk
did.
about a story that should be a story. Like, do we know that Paul Goldschmidt is having a fantastic season?
Yeah, my MVP run, him and Arenado.
And it's like, well, that's nice. It's the Cardinals.
Here is Nate. Hello, Nate.
Brothers, how are you?
Good, Nate.
What's up, buddy? Twice in a week. That doesn't happen often.
Well, I cleared some time because when something's important to you, you make some time, and you guys matter to Nate. I just want you to know that. Okay, so we're not going to be sentimental. So since we're talking about my first love, baseball, man, this Judge run has been so fun, and it's really been a throwback to the '98 race, except he's going solo. And I think the fact he's going solo is why it's not getting media coverage. I think you're absolutely right, Gary. Strong take all around. I do think, at least for me, and I'd love to hear your personal, he's the home run king if he breaks this record. I don't care about Marcus, Sammy, and Barry. I don't. Where are you at on that?
I think the number's set, man. It's just hard. How do you discern, Nate? How do you pick?
You know better that you know better. I mean, Barry Bonds' head size grew by 3 inches. I mean, Mark McGuire's forearms are bigger than my thighs, and I don't skip leg day. I mean, we know what we know. I mean, just being realistic. And then it's I don't know. The craziest thing to me, speaking of the Angels and Trout streak, I was watching the game 2 nights ago. I think they were playing the Guardians. and they flashed a thing that said Ohtani is the team leader in every statistical category, both pitching and hitting. First time in Major League Baseball history that's ever happened.
Hey, how long would Ohtani have to do this for you to talk about him in the GOAT status? Because I think within the next 2 years, one is going to go.
He injures too much. He's injured too much. I think he is a GOAT talent discussion. I mean, I've got Ohtani talent wise. He's up there in my probably Willie Mays, Griffey Jr.
Ooh.
Probably. I would say Griffey, Mays, Ohtani, and I mean Bartolo. No, I'm kidding.
Not too soon.
Too soon.
Well, I'm talking about talent, not production. If you're talking about just tools and ability, I think he's there. Production, he's quite a ways off. And I don't think he's ever going to avoid the injury bug to keep both of them going sustained. I just don't see that. And then, you know, as a diehard Cubs fan, I'm with Gary. I don't want – this Cardinals team is way better than their record. I mean, they legitimately have 2 potential MVP candidates. They've fought through injuries. I mean,
imagine if they
right
had
now,
tightened up the back end earlier.
They do, and I'm going to be honest. I passionately hate. Sorry, Jesus, I hate the Cardinals. I think they're probably going to win the World Series, and I don't like saying that at all. I hate saying that.
Not the Mets, not the Dodgers, not the Braves, huh?
Listen, the Mets fold like origami. They're not even a real baseball team. Okay, they haven't been in 30 years. But
he said origami.
Well,
the Dodgers are due. They're going to get shelled, and the Dodgers are kind of a paper tiger. I think. I mean, they win a lot, but they don't win when it matters. They struggled through some things. It's not the same team that won 2 years ago. It's not. I think the Braves have a better look than the Dodgers, to be honest.
I'm definitely afraid.
Nate,
of the
thanks.
Braves. We didn't get to his football take.
Oh, he'll call back tomorrow.
Oh, all right.
So I don't know if you want
to. We need to get Gratterall and training back.
But you won the 9th time in the last 10 years, the West last night.
Yeah.
Officially. Wasn't a clerical
be nice
mistake.
to get Gonsolin and Price back too, but I don't want to be greedy.
So I don't think here. What we don't get to do is proclaim what is real and what isn't. So Bonds hit 73 in 01, and that's the single season home run record. You don't have to like it, and maybe it hurts your feelings, but it's a fact. It happened. And that's Barry Bonds 73 to me is the home run record.
He said because we know what we know.
All right, Brandon Vogel is coming up next. And it's too bad for Judge. He has a 20 home run lead on the next closest.
Yeah,
20.
I mean, how about Trout having a quiet 35 and he's played in like half their games? Yeah. Not even.
And what happens in the offseason with them? Who's the new owner? Who gets moved?
Yeah, they have. I mean, do they want to spend?
I would think with a new owner, you'd want to do that. I mean, you kind of owe it to Trout and Ohtani, but you have to spend wisely.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't be Jacksonville just throwing money all over the place in football or other teams that try and win the hot stove league, and then it amounts to nothing during the regular season. If they spend smart money, then I think they have a chance. But they're going to have to stand behind the Cubs, who are going to go after a frontline starter and a shortstop in the offseason. And then you can have whatever else is left baseball. All right, Brandon Vogel from Hale Varsity is coming next.
Suicide can be prevented by knowing the warning signs, and most importantly, knowing what to do if you recognize those signs in yourself, a loved one, or even a stranger. There are simple ways you can be there for someone, so they can be here for more tomorrows. Visit moretomorrowsne.org to learn the signs, how to approach the conversation, and where to get help. Or call 988 for help now. That's moretomorrowsne.org.
Omaha's most listened to all sports radio station. Again and again and again. 1620 The Zone.
Reward yourself with Kasasa Free Checking. Liberty First Credit Union invites you to open a free Kasasa checking account and earn up to 3% APY for up to $30,000. Get paid for banking. What are you waiting for? Earning a high reward rate is easy, and Kasasa checking is always free. Liberty First Credit Union offers free online banking and bill pay, free e-statements, free mobile banking, and so much more. See libertyfirstcu.com for details. Federally insured by NCUA. Liberty First Credit Union. Banking with purpose.
Would you rather that your roof or siding last 5 years or 50 years? I'm Dan Thompson of Thompson & Thompson 3rd Generation. Products today last much longer. Gone are the days of just tear shingles off, nail shingles on. Whether it's impact resistant, high wind tolerance, or in the case of EuroShield hail-proof rubber shingles, you can have great designer looks and durability. At Thompson & Thompson 3rd Generation, we don't just give you an estimate, we educate you and give you options. So you decide, 5 or 50. Click Thompson 3rd today and start enjoying your new roof or siding.
Husker football season is underway, and my friends at Tickets for Less are here for all your Husker ticketing needs, home and away. You want to secure tickets for the next game, or you need to sell your seats for a future game, Tickets for Less can help. Shop the best selection of Husker tickets now at ticketsforless.com, or you can call and order over the phone at 402-398-1999. If you love your Huskers and saving money, ticketsforless.com should be your go-to spot. With no per-ticket fees, you can always save big over the competition. Shop today at ticketsforless.com.
Cox Panoramic Wi-Fi includes advanced security to help protect all your connected devices. You'll get real-time alerts. Oh, like this one, so you don't have to worry about malware. Or when your kid downloads a song from a shady link. And now all your computer can play is
red color, where are you?
all blocked, thanks to advanced security, included with Cox Panoramic Wi-Fi. Advanced security must be enabled in the Panoramic Wi-Fi app. Restrictions apply.
Cubby's supports the PACE program with Raise Some Dough. For every large pizza sold at Cubby's in the Old Market, Cubby's gives $1 to the Police Athletic League, serving at-risk and disadvantaged inner-city children with athletic and educational programs. PACE has over 5,800 program participants. The league reaches kids that would not normally be able to participate in athletics like soccer and baseball due to financial situations and family dynamics. PACE wants to give every kid the opportunity at athletics and a healthy and safe environment. If you'd like to support PACE too, go to paceomaha.org.
Hey, you got any gum?
Yeah, check my backpack.
What's this?
Oh, that's naloxone. It can reverse an opioid overdose. I decided to always keep it on me after my friend almost died. It saved his life.
I'm so sorry. That makes me want to have it with me too.
You totally should. Check the pharmacy. It was actually really easy to get, and it's easy to use.
I definitely will. Thanks.
Paid for by the CDC, sponsored by Nebraska DHHS, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Oh, here's my card.
I order takeout, use my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Get a low fixed-rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online, and you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 5.73% APR with autopay and excellent credit.
Now I can pay off my high-interest credit cards and save money with a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval. Rates range from 5.73% APR to 19.99% APR and include a 0.5% autopay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/radio for more information.
Sharp and Benning in the morning on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, and the 1620 The Zone app.
All right, time to talk to our Good Wednesday friend, Brandon Vogel from Hail Varsity, the magazine, hailvarsity.com. By the way, the magazine got completely turned upside down on Sunday, I hear. Is that correct?
That is accurate. At about noon, I kind of felt like we were finally rounding the corner, headed for home, and then nope, we were back in the batter's box. So it goes. It doesn't happen all that often, but occasionally you do have to kind of rip things up and start over. So long Sunday.
Hey, so can you talk about what's happened against Georgia Southern as it relates to Oklahoma? Are you wiping the slate clean, revisiting how you think it's going to shake out?
That's a tough one, because I don't think I was shocked that with Nebraska's defensive performance against Georgia Southern. Like, I really try to feel like I have a decent idea, as good an idea as I can, about how I think these games could go. And you know, we all do. That outcome was not one that I could have foreseen. And so it's back to the drawing board for me. maybe it can be back to the drawing board for Nebraska, but I don't think there's any way I can look at this upcoming game without having those memories of that defensive performance and wondering if it can be better than that. I think it can, but it's not a given.
What is the greatest unknown on Saturday?
I don't feel like I have a great grasp on this Oklahoma team. I might. Nebraska's got an offense, I think, that can win any of its remaining games. Does it have the defense? With Oklahoma, I think you can feel pretty good about their defense. The offense hasn't turned it over, which that'll be an interesting angle to this. The offensive line isn't quite what we've come to expect, I think, from Oklahoma offensive lines through 2 games. So I think the biggest unknown is probably OU, ironically, in this. It's a stronger team, but I think it still has more question marks, at least for me.
As you're kind of parsing through game notes, safer to say you feel better about them up front on the defensive line than you do on the offensive line, even though Gray's gotten off to a good start?
Yeah, I do. And I mean, this is a havoc-y Oklahoma defense. The tackles for loss numbers are high. We know that's going to be an issue Nebraska has to deal with. So defensively, it's that Kent State team. Kent State, I don't think is going to be very good this year, but it's an offense that can put up points and put up points quickly. And OU basically, after 20 minutes of kind of scuttling around, pretty much shut them down. I think that they've only allowed 3 red zone trips through their 2 games so far. So it's what you would, I think, if I were an Oklahoma fan, it's what I hoped I would have gotten with the hire of Venables. And so far, they seem to have gotten it.
Why do you think he's been able to put his stamp on this program really quick? Because, I mean, Lincoln Riley leaves, and you know what the angst was with Oklahoma fans on what's going to happen next and why did Lincoln Riley leave. But it seems like in 9 months, this doesn't feel like a Lincoln Riley team. There's parts of it that are Lincoln Riley-esque, but it feels more like this is the turn. This looks like what Brent Venables has always been about with his defense at Clemson and the way he has presented himself.
Yeah, maybe this is an unfair generalization, but it might be a little easier to do that on defense. You got a defense first head coach. I think a lot of defense, not that scheme and X's and O's aren't important on that side. It is, but a lot of it comes down to kind of effort and attitude. And Venables is a guy who I think that his effort and attitude can be pretty infectious. So it can take hold pretty quick. Oklahoma, of course, is talented on both sides of the ball. Offensively, it's a little more interesting. They want to go up tempo with Levy. They've only had the ball for less than 22 minutes both times out. I mean, I think that's a really interesting angle to this game from Nebraska's perspective. Finally won the time of possession last week, but doesn't matter when you can't get a stop. Can they play a little bit of ball control here? Doesn't matter. Again, it comes down, can your defense get a stop?
Brandon, what do you think has been the secret sauce for Oklahoma to kind of change coaches and change success without cannibalizing itself with their rich history?
Yeah, I think that starts at the top, and it's kind of athletic department wide. Joe Spiglioni's been there a long time. There's a vision for what they need to do. I mean, because you look at it, like Nebraska has all of the things that Oklahoma has, right? In terms of tradition, resources, all of that stuff. It's had 4 different athletic directors, 5 over the time that just Castiglione's been in Oklahoma. I think that matters. We treat it as different than, kind of trying to create a culture for a football program or a volleyball program. But I'm not sure it is. The only difference is you got to try and do it across all sports. And it's a tough job. I think Nebraska's got a good person in place to start that process, but we're still at the start of it.
Casey Thompson, what you thought you were going to get better after 3 games, your assessment on him?
I would say better. The only you've got the interceptions, which, you know, he threw 10 a year ago in basically 10 games at Texas. So, yeah, you knew that part of it could be there. But overall, I think he has done what they've needed him to do. Adding a little bit of the run element, showing that he can take what's there, has helped these past 2 games. So overall, and then just I've been really impressed with his approach. How he thinks about football is really interesting to me. It's at a level that I don't think you see all that often from college players. So far, I think the Thompson experience has been better than was reasonable to hope for.
When you listen to Trev on Sunday and then listen to Mickey on Tuesday, did you get kind of the sync between the two messages?
A little bit, I think. You know, Mickey's got, I thought he did a great job of kind of explaining it. He's got a unique challenge. And, you know, thinking about him as a long-term candidate for this position, he has the advantage of basically having a 9-game on-the-job interview. That said, the things Trev was describing, I don't know if Mickey can lead Nebraska to being as successful as it can over those 9 games while addressing kind of the bigger picture stuff, if that makes sense. So for me, there was a little bit of overlap there, but, you know, Trev's talking about things on a real granular level. Mickey's got to get these players ready to go. And those two things may not perfectly align just based on timing.
Hey, how do you think you mesh being in it for the brand?
Mickey said all the right things, I think, yesterday of, you know, and that was one of the things that definitely echoed from Albert's time on Sunday of like, hey, this isn't about him. It's not about me. It's about Nebraska. So if they can get to that point where it truly is about that, you know, it comes up again this week. You're in these coaching searches, and we're all going to spend 2 months trying to figure out who could be and who should be on the list, what the right fit is. To go back to kind of the question, why has Oklahoma been able to do this through multiple guys? It's because it was always about kind of Oklahoma football, and they had great coaches. But you almost want it to be a little bit incidental of who's running the program. That's when you know you've really got it running.
Is the toughest thing to Matt Cap in this one emotions or the physical?
I mean, I think the emotion piece of it is probably the physical then, because I think the emotional piece of it is one of Nebraska's biggest assets going into this one. Like, you know, for whatever reasons, I don't think you can overestimate the amount of weight the team had to carry of always coming up short in the specific way they did. Like, it was just impossible to not feel that. That was all wiped away on Sunday, which I think is why it had to happen on Sunday in retrospect. Now you can just go play. And that's something Nebraska hasn't been able to do for, well, basically 2016. Like, just go play football and play the best game you can. It's a freedom they haven't had in quite some time.
What area, 3 phases, can you solidly say you think they've gotten better week by week? Or if there is one?
Yeah, I think offense. I mean, it gets lost because it didn't end up mattering. But, you know, Georgia Southern wasn't getting a whole lot of stops either. And granted, it's Georgia Southern. The offense, when you look at that first Northwestern game, good in stretches. I think they become a little bit more consistent over these past 2. And if they can continue that's how they win games. It's going to be a matter of like, how much better can the defense get from here on out?
That'll be the case. Brandon, as always, we appreciate it. Fantastic work by you and the rest of your colleagues.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
That's Brandon Vogel. They had to blow up the magazine. They were all set to send it off to the printer.
Yeah.
And then
How
Trev
about that,
happened.
how about that 180?
Yep. So if you're a Hail Varsity subscriber, your magazine's going to have all the coverage of Sunday and the next couple of days. All right. Georgia Southern is kind of like it happened.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Because there are some things that are portable, right? Personnel, maybe see what they do with the defensive scheme, but I mean, some other things, not so much.
We will get more into Nebraska, Oklahoma, the individual matchups and that kind of stuff coming up tomorrow when you're back with us at 6. Hope you enjoyed another day with Gary and Damon and Jimmy. If you missed anything, it's up on the radio replay page at 1620thezone.com. We're back in tomorrow at 6 on Sharp and Betting in the Morning.